Morning, everyone, and welcome to the Bradenton City Council meeting, Wednesday, February 11th, 2026 at 8:30 a.m. City Hall Council Chambers. As we always do, we'll start with an invocation and a pledge. Vice Mayor Coker will give us the invocation today. Please stand.
We begin in the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Heavenly Father, we thank you for bringing us together today for this council meeting and for giving us a willing spirit to work together. We ask for your guidance and wisdom. Please bless our conversations and may our ideas be thoughtful and our efforts productive. Guide us so we may bring people together in a meaningful way, reflect the best of who we are, and have a positive impact on the citizens of the city of Bradenton. We are grateful for the time, talents, and commitment present in this room. May we be encouraged, focused, and confident on the path ahead. We ask this in the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Please join us in the pledge. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, and we'll call the meeting to order. Madam Clerk.
The first item on the agenda this morning is a proclamation, Year of People with Disabilities, Fix It in 26. Whereas, according to the 2024 Disability Update Census, 14.6% of Manatee County's population, approximately 58,683 residents, live with a disability. And whereas people with disabilities have identified multiple overlapping barriers that impact daily life, including attitudinal, communication, physical, policy, programmatic, social, and transportation barriers. And whereas when individuals with disabilities were asked their wishes for greater independence and inclusion, they identified key priority areas including inclusive education, meaningful employment, accessible and affordable housing, community inclusion and social connection, accessible transportation, and quality health care and therapies. And whereas additional priorities include supportive services and advocacy, adaptive recreation opportunities, empowerment, and the promotion of independence for people with disabilities across their lifespan. And whereas true inclusion requires not merely participation, but intentional design, recognizing that inclusion is not about being invited to play the game, it's about redesigning the game so everyone can play. Now therefore be it resolved that I, Jean Brown, as mayor of the city of Bradenton, Florida, do hereby proclaim the year of 2026 as Year of People with Disabilities, also known as Fix It in 26, and urge all citizens to support and promote community-wide action to remove barriers and advance equality, access, and inclusion for all people with disabilities. Signed, Jean Brown, Mayor.
Thank you. And who do we have accepting this? I know who we do. Ms. Simmons, you want to come up and say a few words? And then we'll all come down there and get a picture with you. Good morning.
Good morning. I do have a few words planned, so bear with me. Policymakers, if you want to know best practices for people with disabilities, ask us. Don't assume what looks appropriate on paper will work for someone with a disability. In other words, don't be a suit. I used to think a lesson for policymakers was to spend an hour being disabled. I have since come to realize how inappropriate that is because people with disabilities can't stop being disabled after an hour. The better lesson would be to spend a day in the life with the person with the disability, not as a caretaker, but as an observer. I never thought my voice disorder and tremors would lead me to community activism, but here I am. I'm fighting for inclusion, access, and most importantly, a paradigm shift. Anyone at any point in their lives can become disabled. The education of policymakers and people in the state of Florida should begin with the fact that not everyone can walk and talk and see and hear. One question for people with disabilities: do you feel well informed about services, parks, recreation, and access? Do you have unanswered questions? Make the ask. I did. We need to be a united voice to teach policymakers we are allowed access, inclusion, and just as important, a voice. Here's my 2026 work in progress. I don't know if you can.
Yes, we can see it.
I was told it's my strategic plan. And I changed August to our voting rights because that's primary month. And even precinct workers don't know that people with disabilities, people that are deaf, have the right to have an ASL interpreter in the precinct with them. People that use a mobility device have the right to have a caretaker in with them. So I changed August. And October, I thought it would be informative to do a walk and roll. Best I could come up with. To raise awareness of the lack of accessible sidewalks on 14th Street, 41 Highway, whatever you want to call it. It's a mess. So those are two things. And then in December, to celebrate what we've done, how far we've come, and where we need to go in 27. So this is our first step, and thank you very much for the proclamation. It means a lot to me, and it seems to carry a lot of weight. And I say I'm getting a proclamation. People are saying, well, when you get that, come back and talk to us. So thank you very much.
All right, any comments before I go? All right, thank you, Ms. Simmons. And I think one of the things that, obviously being in the position I'm in as mayor and then on the MPO and watching at other meetings, I just want to thank you for taking the time to persistently push, and that's not a bad thing I'm saying it's a good thing. And I know some of us, you get frustrated at some of us at times because we don't seem like we're always paying attention or listening, but I think we are, and I know others are too. But thank you for always trying to keep that front of the room, and we appreciate that. And we've got some stickers that were ready late yesterday, and they weren't open when we went to get them, but she's trying to get them now for you that you can be able to take out to the businesses, and hopefully they'll put on it and then go and find out more information about, the fix in 26. So that's something just to keep pushing. And it's not that people don't care. Sometimes we all get busy in our own lanes, and we just got to remind people to be there to help when you can and do more when you can. So thank you for you pushing that. We appreciate it, and we'll come around and get a picture with you if that's okay. Yep. Nixon in 26. All right, thank you. Thank you. And she should hopefully be back any minute. Madam Clerk.
We do not have any presentations today.
All right, so we'll move on to citizen comment. At this time, citizen comment will be accepted during the citizen comment portion of the meeting on any non-agenda item, future agenda item, or topic of relevance to the city. Comments will be accepted on the public hearings at the appropriate time. So I just have one card, Pat Simmons.
Morning again, Pat Simmons. Just three real quick things. I sat in Oakenstone, and the window that overlooks First Avenue, I think it is, in Old Main.
The Baccarada, yeah, but Baccarada and First, right?
People run that stop sign consistently, and it's like the old Missouri roll, and I and I think it's because the stop sign's so far back from the actual intersection, and the only other problem is people use that crosswalk and they don't look when they walk across the crosswalk. I'm just afraid one of these days there's going to be a really bad accident there. The second thing is I tried to call the farmer's market to see about getting just a temporary, part-time, one-time booth to talk about my sugar program. And I got a recording that said come back in August. So I don't know if you or your staff has a better number or a better way I could connect to somebody at the farmer's market. The third thing that I watched the Cottonmouth discussion, and I looked up what 75 decibels is. That's like equivalent to a washing machine or a dishwasher or normal traffic. I don't think it's about that. I don't think it's about it, that it's an outdoor venue. I think it's jazz versus blues. And what they don't realize is without blues, there wouldn't be jazz. So that's just my 2 cents. Thank
All right,
you.
thank you. At this time, I don't have any other comments. Chief, might want to just comment a little on that and what we can do.
Thank you for the comments. I have a different opinion as to why people don't stop at stop signs, but that's me. I'm less concerned about vehicles. I'm more concerned about people on e-bikes that fly down all roads locally but do not stop, do not consider stopping at stop signs. That's something that I think I know the legislature's talking about addressing it, but we're going to need to address locally. I certainly believe we're going to need to address it in Riverwalk. It's just a very dangerous situation. The regatta coming up, part of the insurance approval for the regatta being held is that while the bridge is closed, there's no bikes or e-bikes coming across. We've had some resistance, I'll say, from other jurisdictions in helping us enforce that in the past. We will enforce that to the letter this time, because I've let people know that I will lose it if I see people riding an e-bike on that bridge, because it's just not safe. People have no consideration in situations like that. But thank you again.
Yep, so we'll watch it. And then with the public market now, I can get with the staff of that and see, because we don't have anything to do with it. It's all on them, but I'll deal with that. So, all right, so we have one more comment, kind of going back. Michelle Crockett? Yep, this came in.
Good morning and thank you. This is my first time presenting.
All right, so you'll have 3 minutes. Come up, state your name and to the podium there.
Michelle Crockett, representing Oak Tree Community Outreach. And I want to talk about the Back to Angola Festival that's coming up March 7th through the 8th. Can you believe it's been 7 years? The first Back to Angola Festival was held in 2018. Now we're getting ready for something even greater in 2026, as March 7th through the 8th. Oak Tree Community Outreach presents the Back to Angola Festival. The theme, The Cousins Are Coming. Join us for this powerful, historical, and cultural gathering celebrating over 200 years of shared heritage between the USA and the Bahamas. Manatee Mineral Springs Park is where it will be held, 1312 2nd Avenue East in Bradenton. We come together to commemorate the Angola Maroon community that thrived along the Manatee River from 1812 to 1821. Their legacy lives on in Red Bay's Andros Island, Bahamas, and in the descendants. What to expect? Live music and cultural performances, panel discussions, and oral histories, authentic Bahamian cuisine, and African American food. Cultural demonstrations will include basket weaving, wood carving, junkanoo, vendor booths, community exhibits, and more. The admission is free. Just want to take this time to encourage our community to come out and help celebrate with us this wonderful, cultural, rich event. Thank you for your time, council members.
Thank you. All right, Mrs. Moore, did you have anything you wanted to comment on first?
I will take this opportunity while you're here, just in case you're not here for board comments, and thank you for coming and sharing the dates, and I hope to see it be promoted more, and if I can help with that, I would happily, try to get the word out. I love the festival. I love that we have such a jewel of history, really, right here in the heart, like in some of the oldest part of the city of Bradenton. It's a wonderful time. It's a wonderful time of celebration, and I look forward to it. So thank you. If I can help at all, please feel free to let me know.
All right, and it's been every year. It's obviously a great event, and really enjoy, obviously, the conch salad. They know to have that for me when I get there, and go over and buy some of that and some of the great juices, and I still have my first one with the carved fish that's in my office. It stays in there for that. So appreciate it. Looking forward to it and exciting on that. So, all right. One thing before we go on, we did finally get the stickers in, and it's Fix It in 26. And I'm going to read the card that's going to go with it that we're going to give to Ms. Simmons so she's able to give out. We would like to present a sticker to display in your front business window. We ask for your pledge to adopt a few simple fixes to enrich your customer's experience. The sticker will alert people with disabilities that they are welcome and will feel safe in your establishment. Thank you for helping us to make 2026 the year for people with disabilities. And then it's got an email on, or email on it for further information. Go to psl_BLUES_fan1@aol.com. And this is the card that she'll be giving out, and then this is the sticker that shows, and it says Fix in 26. It's got, some symbols on it that kind of go with the FIX in 26. So we've got those for Mrs. Simmons, and she'll be able to kind of present it and give it out to businesses. So I hope all businesses in the city and anywhere else can have those and start to do some good things and you know, make people feel welcomed and encouraged. So thank you. We will. No, I have one at the here and at my business. So. All right, Madam Clerk.
Item 6 is the consent agenda, and staff is requesting approval of items A through P.
Chair will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay.
Mayor,
Yes, sir.
if I could be heard briefly?
Yes, sir. Let me get a second, then we'll do discussion.
Yes, sir.
Second by Councilwoman Coachman. All right, Mr. Perry.
Mayor, I just want to point out on items K through M, really K through L, the two items there, and just take a quick moment to kind of highlight a few things about those two items. And I have had the opportunity to speak with all of the councilors regarding the consent agenda and answer any particular questions or provide any information that was requested or sought. But on items K and L, those two items are fairly significant capital investments of infrastructure in our wastewater treatment. It's basically a permanent equalization tank. As you know, we have the equalization tank that's out at the plant right now, and ultimately a reject tank as well. So what those two things do, and of course this is a request to award the construction manager at risk to begin construction of these projects, and we think we can complete construction of these projects fairly quickly, probably within about an 18-month period. That we had previously in November of 2025 awarded the design and engineering contracts to Kimley Horn, and I believe it was Jones Edmonds for the two projects. But what's important to note about this, in accordance with the Face It and Fix It investments, is that both projects use direct appropriations from the House to fund substantial amounts of the $6 million project cost for each of them. So you're talking about over $12 million for just these two projects. And of course, we obtained that through the Florida legislature. My appreciation to the mayor and the council that went up last week to pursue our legislative agenda and special direct appropriation request for continued support of our infrastructure programs. What these programs will do is a couple of things that I think is worth noting. Is we hear this claim about discharges of untreated sewer water, basically. And really, these two items deal with the first phase of 3 phases of water treatment. And when we have excess flows, we basically introduce biology, because that's when the first influent comes into the plant. The microorganisms are designed to take those solids and combine with them and break them down. They have a certain maturation period that has to stay in that process before they can advance to the next process, which is solid separation and actually removing them through a press and ultimately tertiary treatment. But that 3-step process starts here. And when we have these high flows like we had last year, we don't have a current reject reuse pond right now. When you go by the county's southwest water treatment plant on 53rd Avenue, you look over there by the golf course and you see probably a 10-acre reject reuse pond. Probably capacity on something like that is close to, I don't know, probably 10, 15 million gallons. Of course, we're a much smaller plant than that. We actually about a third of the size of that. And this will provide us about 2 million on one phase and about 2 million on the other, to give us flexibility, because you need that time to move that first period wastewater through and ultimately improve the treatment process so that we don't discharge, as we're not doing now, untreated water. This is even more fully treated. If we have flows like we had last year, where our 9 million gallon rating is, basically challenged by 30 million gallons per day. 30 million gallons per day. That's what came into the plant last year. All bets are off. They're bet off at the county, they're off with us. But through general high flow periods, this provides us a great environmental protection, a great mechanical and hydrological and microchemical process to really engage in alternative and diversified treatment so that we can manage that water better. And of course, that all starts with pretty intricate engineering, that deals with wastewater, and ultimately you all trying to help us get the funding. So it's a team effort, it's an environmental effort, it's really an economic effort, and it's a quality of life effort. So I want to showcase that and just point out that this is on consent, but I thought it was worth talking about. The last item is the Ironwood, Ironwood water distribution system. We were out at Ironwood yesterday with Mayor and Councilor Barnaby. There was a big crowd out there, probably I'd estimate about 75 people or so. And I thought it went really well. Of course, Ironwood had come to us asking us to do this, as stated by me, based on the letter from Ironwood back in 2021, the month after I got here. And we have a plan now to move forward with doing that. Estimated project cost on that is 2.8 to 3.2 million. As it relates to specifically the construction itself, it'll be open cut, opposed to HDT, horizontal drilling. And we anticipate that project to take about 12 to 15 months from its start. We're ready to proceed on that. I think Ironwood went very well. I appreciate you guys going out there and helping out with the public awareness and the community outreach. You did awesome jobs there, and I think this community was pretty satisfied when we explained it to them, even though there's an assessment related to it that will be levied that you all have, it's a difficult decision to do. And the like. So I just want to highlight those three items. I think it's worth commenting on, and that's where we're at. We'd ask for approval of the overall consent agenda at this time, and I'd stand for any questions.
Councilwoman, Vice Mayor Coker, did you have anything specific?
Actually, one question I had, because I had a discussion with someone this week. When we are on bypass and putting into the river, that would not be the cause of brown water in the river, correct? The water's clear.
It comes out at the outfall, and we test at different points from the outfall. We test at a close point from the outfall, and the outfall, of course, is where the effluent enters the river from our piping system. It goes from a conveyance to an outfall and then into the river. At the very close point, it could, but really, coloration, I don't know. The dilution factors, it's pretty treated, and it's pretty separated, so it shouldn't be. And once you get away from that, you're talking about these discharges that usually, without the major storms, are, in terms of gallons, it's fairly minimal. And I don't want to take away from anything, because any discharge isn't a good discharge. But the reality is it's treated about 90% to start with. And then secondly, once it dilutes, it would be like, I think it was pointed out to me by one of the engineers.
Dr. Tomasco said it's like an eyedropper in a bathtub amount.
I think it was like 3 eye drops in 6 bathtubs,
Right.
is what I had heard.
Billions of gallons, and we're putting, and again, we're never trying to lessen any impact, but we're trying to explain that what most people think of when they think of a sewage discharge, they're thinking of solids. They're thinking of toilet paper. They're thinking of other solids, and we do not release that. That is gone out in the first processes and gone. So the discoloration of the water might be more of what is around it, the dying seagrass, the birds, the soil underneath it. And because you can get anywhere in the river and you see brown water, it's not just from there. And I think that's what sometimes people, whether purposely or not, go on that. So
Mayor, of course, lives right on the river.
Every day.
And I run on it probably 3 times a week now, maybe a little bit more. And sometimes it's crystal clear going out 50 yards, and as it gets deeper, but then other times, for whatever reason, as Mayor pointed out, the biology in that river, I don't know what comes in, and it gets a little bit less clear. You'll have to talk to probably Dr. Tomasco about that, for what cause and relationships are, cause and effects and relationships.
no, but I think, yes, ma'am. Ms. Barnaby?
I just wanted to double check, because now we're hearing, people are making comments about where the Braden River comes into the Manatee River, and there's a very large rookery there, but we don't have a pipe that puts out there.
No, there's no outfall there.
There's no outfall at that location. I thought I was correct in saying that, and I just wanted to double check.
I don't think that that's accurate, actually, but we are in the process of moving it. I wish Lance was here, but
You're
actually.
talking about a stormwater. You're talking about something else.
Stormwater, not
Oh,
our-
okay.
Yeah,
so
there's a
it's different, 'cause
stormwater.
a
There's no
water main.
outfall for
Okay.
the
That's
From the
wastewater.
plant.
It's not a water main, it's a
Right.
stormwater. It's not a
Treated
tre-
water.
treated
Okay,
water. yeah,
okay.
yeah,
Two different things.
Two different things. And stormwater, yeah,
Drinking
storm,
water,
Yeah, loop.
clean water, and stormwater. That's what we have to deal with.
Yeah.
If-
but, but stormwater is something that we do control, that we'll be bringing up some other ideas later in working with the county, that we found out some things from DEP and Commerce this past week, meeting with them. But one of the things that people don't realize is they call those little islands there Bird Island.
Yeah, no.
And we know the birds are a natural source of a lot of that. And we know, and again, Rattlesnake Key is so important to our ecological community, but Rattlesnake Key, when they were testing it, was one of the most highest contaminated, without any of horses, without sewage, without all the stuff that they claim that's going into some of our areas that is not. And that's why we've got, as if you read Mrs. Barnaby's newsletter this week, over 150, but we're up to 175 million now of monies that this board has spent about 450,000 on to get 175 million by hiring lobbyists, by going with Woodard and Curran and getting opportunity to get that money that we basically don't have to pay back to face and fix what we're doing. And that's one of the most important things to us and me and the position I'm in of clean water, stormwater, wastewater, how we fix that. And those are the important things. But again, look at this week's results. If you go, I get a report printed off by either Miss Tiffany or Miss Kelly every week of the Waterkeeper's results. Everything is green. Braden River area is a little bit red, just barely in the red, but that's because of, again, the birds, the stormwater that's there, and how do we work through some of that, and that's what we're doing greatly. And I think the lobbyist situation that I had tried to promote before I was in this position as mayor, but never could get traction, now we got traction, and in 5.5 years, $175 million plus by our staff and this council supporting it. So those are the things that, yes, it is consent agenda. I think it still should be on consent agenda, but when you see stuff in the social media that is just inaccurate, and we're not trying to engage with Facebook and the different medias, but we are answering to just go to Face It and Fix It and look at it. And, you know, and I'm not going to say this, but I don't want to jinx anything. I haven't had a lot of comments from people coming to me directly in the emails because they know we're facing and fixing it. And that's one of the most important things. And Tallahassee knows we're facing and fixing it. And that's why the collaborations that you work on is, you know, really to work with people and to help your community. And that's what we're doing a great job at as a board and especially as a staff. So kudos to all of our staff. And I know we get the grief or we get the credit sometimes, but it's the staff that does the boots on the ground every day. And again, I think we're going in the right direction. Councilwoman Barnaby.
Yes, before we go to a vote, I just needed to double check with our attorney. I am one of the reappointees to the grievance board. Am I allowed to vote on this?
Yes.
Okay.
You don't have
I
any
thought
financial.
I have no financial gain in that. Matter of fact, it's usually sleepless nights, but I thought I was right, but I'm not the attorney, so.
And then, Mr. Perry, the last thing I'll comment on before we call for the vote is Ironwood, which that's when it first came to you. It came to me long before that, a couple years before that, where it's a private system that the residents of that private system are going to bring it up. We're helping them because when you have, believe it's 14 different HOAs and a master board, the financial part of this country and the service part of this country doesn't like to work with 14 different entities, but they would work with us if we would help process that through. And I was very impressed with, like I said, 75 to 80 people yesterday. We walked in, you didn't know what was happening, but they were very well informed, which that was an important thing that we pushed, as well as they had great questions. And so that was a good outreach, which people say we're not doing, but we are, and we're facing and fixing everything else, and this is part of that will actually help that private development from the 70s become into the way things are today. So appreciate that. Any other concerns, or we'll go for the vote? All right, seeing none, we'll start the vote in Ward 3,
Yes.
4,
Yes.
5,
Yes.
1,
Yes.
2.
Yes.
Approved 5-0. Thank you very much, and thank you for the comments. Madam Clerk.
At this time, I'll administer the oath. Anyone wishing to address City Council during the following public hearings, will you please stand and raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm that the factual statements and representations which you are about to give to this board will be truthful and accurate? Thank you. Item 7A is the public hearing for Resolution 2602.
Good morning.
If you would like, I can do the following resolution also. They're very similar. These are projects you're familiar with. We just need 2 separate votes.
Okay, yes, we can do them together.
I don't have any objection to that. Yeah, have the hearings together in separate votes.
Votes. Thank you.
Since you've seen this a few times already. Greg DeLong, Assistant Director, Planning Community Development, and I have been sworn. The first request is Resolution 2602, which is a special use request for 2115 9th Street East. We are the owner of this property. It is down south of Tropicana. These were recently annexed properties that we brought into the city for future use. The current zoning is industrial. This lot is a little over 4 acres at 4.08 acres. Future land use, again, is industrial. Current is industrial. Flood zone is X, and it's currently a vacant lot. The special use request will allow for the property to be used as a public facility. Here is the lot that we are discussing on this application. And I'm sure this looks quite familiar to you. Future land, or the zoning is industrial, future land use also industrial. A special use request is for a public facility. There is the definition of a public facility. When we annexed this property into the city last year, we put industrial zoning classification on it, but under the industrial zoning classification, as you can see in the use chart, under Schedule 3.2.1.2, public facilities are a special use. Unless we did a PDP, which would have been a lot longer process, this was the easiest way to do it. So I appreciate working with Mr. John Toddy on this, but we're getting in front of you guys so we can start using these properties, and they are compliant to city regulations. This parcel that we're talking about here, there has been some plans for it. They're a little, I don't want to say, we're still in flux, I guess, on them. But we want to make sure we have the special use approval on it, so we have some options moving forward. This was a parcel that was being used, or looked at to being used for temporary location for public works. I'll have Mr. John Toddy, he can talk a little bit more about that. This is all going as part of the project going on at Lecom Park, where we need to relocate public works out of that area so we can have the city park project move forward. And I've got some information about that on this slide here. It is really designed to elevate Bradenton's reputation as a destination of sports tourism, create economic opportunities, provide essential services and support to underserved neighborhoods and schools. And I have the link, which I'll leave up for a few minutes so the TV can grab it so the residents can go take a look at the website and get the latest information on the city park project as it's moving forward. The subject property that we're talking about here was annexed was purchased in May of 2025, May 14th to be exact. City Council approved under Ordinance 4061 a voluntary annexation on July 23rd. And then on August 13th of 2025, City Council approved a comprehensive plan map amendment and zoning atlas amendment. And those are the ordinances were 4062 and 4063, and those were to place the industrial zoning classification on the property and as the future land use. Here is the property in question. I did not draw a line around it, but you can kind of see where it is. It's right through here, the long sliver. This was a conceptual plan that has been proposed. Still questionable of whether or not this will go forward at this time, but this gives you an idea of how this property could be used, should the property be used for public works as a temporary relocation site. And here are just some photos of the property. It is fenced in, so I was unable to get into it. So just some aerial photos and some photos looking north, northeast, northwest. I was out there on a Saturday morning. It was a little foggy, but here's photos looking to the southwest at 9th Street East in US 301. The comprehensive plan, here's just some objectives out of the comprehensive plan, talking about uses. Kind of goes this, as we've gone through this before, talking about the industrial, that's why we put industrial on it. So the property meets these policies and objectives under Objective 1.2 and Policy 1.2.1. And there is the definition of industrial in the comprehensive plan. Land use regulations, special uses under section 3.3 really get into why they come forward to the boards. They start at planning commission for a recommendation and then come to city council for a final decision, is basically because they have a potential of being disturbing to other land uses in the zone. So that is why they go through the public hearing process. Notices are sent out to residents or property owners within 300 feet of the affected properties. And we do run legals in the paper. We have heard nothing on any of these next two cases or this case and the following case. So I think people with having Tropicana down there are used to what's going on in that vicinity. So putting the special use for industrial and a public facility is not a bad thing. Under section 3.3.1, these are just general standards out of the land use regulations, and they do appear to all be met with even the conceptual plan, and the city will ensure on future plans that they are met. And then under section 3.3.2, again, here are some review criteria that are in the land use regulations. These all appear to be met with the comprehensive plan or the concept plan, and we will ensure that all future plans do meet these review criteria moving forward. And then the final section of the code is 3.3.2.5. These are the criteria that need to be answered and are the criteria that Planning Commission does use when they make their decision moving forward with their recommendation to City Council, and it is the criteria that City Council should be using in making their final determination. The application that was submitted, Mr. Toddy did put responses to these questions in the application, so you have it on record in your packet, and it does appear that all the criteria under this section 3.3.2.5, letters A through K, are met. Again, City Council is just encouraged to evaluate the request based on the criteria provided, as well as input from staff, the applicant, and the public. And it is in our opinion that section 3.3.2.5 of the land use regs and the design element of the comprehensive plan are met. Planning Commission did review this case on January 21st and recommended with a vote of 5-0 approval. And that is the first case. Any questions on that one?
Questions? Nope, thank
So
you.
you guys have probably seen these enough, and I will go quicker on this one because there's no reason to regurgitate everything we just went through, because the slide shows are pretty much the same. This is the larger parcel. This is 1706 9th Street East, and this is Resolution 26-03. This is a little over 28 acres in size. Again, current zoning is industrial, future land use industrial. This is where Tropicana most recently was storing a lot of their trailers in that vicinity. And there's kind of a little road network on that parcel, as you can see from aerial photos. Again, this is to allow for a public facility to be used on the property. And here is the location map, zoning map, showing the industrial. And you can see to the north, you also have Tropicana. It's got industrial zoning. Part of the Tropicana campus is actually in the county. And here's the parcel right here to the right is the parcel we were just discussing. Future land use, also industrial. Again, I'm not going to go through all this. It's the same slide you just recently seen, but it just defines what a public facility is. Again, it's a special use in the industrial zoning classification. This parcel is a little bit more targeted on what the use will be and how it's going to be laid out. I know City Council has looked at options for this parcel, but this is where Public Works permanent location should be going in the future. And I listed all of the departments and divisions within Public Works that will be utilizing this parcel. They're listed there. We are currently engaged in a master site plan for this property, finalizing building sizes, locations, landscaping, and parking. The project construction is anticipated to start in this summer of 2026, with build-out completion taking approximately 4 years. Again, this is in relationship to the relocation of public works from the area around Lecom Park, so the City Park project can move forward. And again, there is the link. The residents want more information on the City Park project. Again, same history as we just had on the previous case on the purchase of the property, when it was annexed, and also when the comprehensive plan map amendment and zoning atlas amendment were adopted. And here is a photo of, or an aerial of the parcel. You got 9th Street East on the right-hand side, or the east side. You got the Tropicana campus up here. Red Barn is over here on the west side or the left, and you can kind of see 301 and kind of loops around, as you know. And here was the conceptual plan that was most recently reviewed by City Council, detailing the layout. Again, this is still under review. And here are some more just aerials that were part of the packet that you previously saw related to the conceptual plan for the options that you were reviewing for the future public works facility. And this is looking to the southeast. This is looking northeast. You got 301 down here on right through here. You got the rail line through here, and then the Tropicana campus up here. And here are some photos I took again on a Saturday morning out there, looking northwest on the property, looking west. As you see, there is a little bit of a road network out there, or driveway network, I guess I should say. Ignore my shadow in this photo here, but I'm trying to get not the chain link fence in the photo, so I had to raise my arm up. And then you have a photo over here looking southwest of the property, from looking towards 301. And there is that infamous chain link fence there on my left, and that is looking north to the Tropicana campus. Again, you know, I'm not going to regurgitate these items, but these were the items we reviewed when we did the annexation and put the comprehensive plan, future land use, and the current zoning on the map, or on the parcel of industrial. And here again is the definition of a special use under section 3.3 of the land use regulations. Again, the general standard criteria under 3.3.1 all appear to be met, even for the conceptual plan. And again, we will ensure that all future plans meet these criteria. Same with the review criteria under section 3.3.2. And again, under the review criteria, which are the A through K, which are really the meat and bones of this whole thing when making decisions, they appear to all be met also. And we will ensure that the final plans also meet this. Again, you're encouraged to evaluate this request based on the criteria from staff, the applicant, and the public. And we are the applicant. And Planning Commission reviewed this case also on January 21st of 2026. Recommended approval by a vote of 5-0. And Mr. Jean Toddy is here if you have questions about anything. And I know Mr. Perry can probably also chime in on any updates on the
Any council
project.
questions before we go to citizen or public hearing? Hearing none, thank you.
You're welcome. Sorry.
And
it
we'll
was so
open the
quick.
public hearing on both 2602 and 2603. Anyone wishing to speak? Anyone wishing to speak? Anyone wishing to speak? Hearing none, we'll close the public hearing. Mr. Perry, did you have any final comments before we go to a vote?
No, I think Mr. DeLong did a really good job of talking about the special use application.
Okay.
We could obviously talk about a whole host of things on the concept plan and the project overall, but it's really not the gravamen of what we're here to talk about today.
All right, thank you. Chair will entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, ma'am, Ms. Coachman.
move to approve.
We just do 2602 first.
2602.
All right, is there a
Second.
second? Second by Ms. Barnaby. All right, any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll start the vote in Ward 4.
Yes.
5,
Yes.
1,
Yes.
2,
Yes.
3.
Yes.
Carries 5-0. Now we'll go to Resolution 2603. Chair will entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, ma'am, Ms. Coachman.
move to approve Resolution 2603.
All right.
Second.
Second by Ms. Barnaby. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll start the vote in Ward 5.
Yes.
1,
Yes.
2,
Yes.
3,
Yes.
and 4.
Yes.
Approved 5-0. Madam Clerk.
Item 7C is a public hearing for Resolution 2604.
Brandon Wink, City Planner, here with Resolution 2604, request to operate drive-through service station / repair in the suburban commercial corridor zoning district for property located at 3511 Manatee Avenue West, Bradenton. We have the agent, Herb Green, with us today. He's here to do a special use approval for drive-through / service station repair. It's at the Friendly City Car Wash. They're turning it into a Take 5 pending this board's approval. The subject parcel is located, as you can see here, right on Manatee Ave. It is in the suburban commercial corridor zoning district, and notably surrounding it is county properties. This used to be a county property. It was annexed into the city, and at the time, car wash was allowed to be built under county rules, but they are now coming in to go turn it into a Take 5, and it is a special use to do a service station repair. Future land use is also SCC, so they are following with all the rules related to that. Service station / repair is listed as special use in SCC zoning district. Special use requires city council approval. It is currently a car wash. Car wash is also listed as a special use, but because it was allowed to be built under county rules, it did not require special use at the time of it being built. For the future land use, it typically supports automotive uses. This is directly from the comprehensive plan. For commercial uses commensurate with suburban arterial roadways such as gas stations, car washes, drive-through restaurants, open storage, mini storage, retail, office, automotive sales, automotive repair and service, hotel, motel, restaurants, and social services. Outdoor storage is prohibited. This is a concept that was submitted to us, and I believe the applicant has more updated things that they would like to talk about. They have their own presentation that they will get to after I get through a couple more slides. For the general special use standards, it's all the same as every other special use that we put through to you guys. Shall be subject to general regulations of the land use regulations. Separation strip of 10 feet in which shall be provided along all property lines. There is existing landscaping, which they will probably be talking about. At the time of submittal, they had no plans to alter any of the site via landscaping or the parking lot. They're trying to keep things as close to the standard as it is with what is currently existing. For their criteria, adequacy of ingress and egress to the property, proposed structure with regard for automobiles and pedestrian safety. Like I said, with what they submitted, they're just trying to keep everything as it currently is standing. They're just trying to switch it from a car wash to a Take 5. And there are stipulations put on this. There's one, which is during the site improvement permitting phase, the site plan shall be reviewed for compliance with Florida Fire Building Code and with City of Bradenton land use regulations. We put this stipulation on here because this is us going to you for special use, and obviously things might change a little bit once they get further along in the process. So we're letting you know that through the stipulation, they will continue to be kept to the standard that the city has when it comes to any new construction or existing that's getting improved on. And then we have the applicant here ready to come up.
All right, is there any questions first before we have the applicant come up?
I have
All
a
right.
little one, just a small
Yes,
one.
go ahead.
So do I understand correctly that currently even just operating the car wash is technically not permitted because they don't have the special use that permits car wash, or?
They were grandfathered into not needing one because they were annexed while the plan was already in place to build the car wash there.
Okay,
Yeah, so if the car wash were to not be in use for longer than 1 year and a new car wash would be put in, then they would have to come get special use through you.
Okay.
Okay, anything else? All right, we'll have the applicant come up.
Good morning, Honorable Mayor, ladies and gentlemen of the council and staff. My name is Herb Green with CAD Jazz Engineering. I have with me Don Wallace, owner-operator of Take 5, to answer any additional questions and offer clarifications. We come before you today to ask for a special use permit for a change, but not a change. It's a similar use as a car wash, except ours is a very unique setup from a standpoint. You stay in your car, get your car oil changed, incidental repairs and activities. No cars will be left on site. It's just that activity, and there's nothing, no significant mechanical repairs. In the special use criteria, there are certain things that the city considers from standpoint of level of service and consistency with use. Those include some of the things that staff reviewed: adequacy of ingress and egress, location and design of the waste and the refuse, utilities, screening buffers, proposed signs and exterior lighting, effect upon the value and surrounding properties, adequacy of land and/or building, general compatibility and appropriateness of the use, environmental quality of the district, and consistency of the city in accordance with the existing comp plan. In terms of access, Take 5 is going to make use of the car wash that has 2 access points on the main strip on Manatee Avenue, and then 1 on 36th Street, consistent with the way it sits now.
I'm just going to say all of this is west. So people, if they're watching the meeting, it's Manatee Avenue West and 36th Street West, so they don't get confused, because we do have those east also.
Thank you. Traffic impact, Take 5 is just a comparison of level of service again. Take 5 average daily trips is estimated by ITE, which is a standard traffic index. Average daily trips of the existing car wash is estimated about 432 trips. Take 5 will take only 120 average daily trips. When we compare the peak hours, Take 5 will generate about 8 in and 4 out for a total of about 14 peak hour trips, whereas the car wash is at about 19. So it's pretty comparable, but the car wash on an average basis generates 3 times the amount of traffic as the Take 5 would be. So Take 5 would be, in a sense, generating less number of cars going to the site. Required parking, the car wash right now sits with 6 spaces. Take 5 requires only 5 spaces, but we are adding an additional space for ADA accessibility parking. So we are just making use of that existing area that's not being used appropriately. So we'll just stripe that area for ADA or handicap parking. Garbage pickup location, the car wash already contains the refuse accessibility there with the size that's required for our use. I mean, comparing the level of service, car wash will generate actually more, over the year, more tonnage of waste. Take 5, and then just main concern was just activity and access to the refuse or the garbage location, and Take 5 will, that access and that location of the existing garbage can works well for the site. So we'll just leave that in place. Utilities, car wash will demand more water and sewer as required than the Take 5. Take 5 just generally only uses about 150, 200 gallons per day, whereas the car wash is generating in about close to 1,500 gallons per day in excess. Screen and buffering. Car wash right now is open bays all the washing activities and the sound, and they have vacuum cleaners outside of the bays that they're operating. Take 5, all the work will be enclosed or inside the building, within the garage areas. So screening and buffering is also less impact by Take 5. Lighting and sign location, the lighting and signs are already there. The lighting is per code and the signage is there. Take 5 will just make use of those existing facilities. Hours of operation, just a consideration of Take 5 working from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., whereas the car wash is 24 hours. Of course, that's more taxing on the public streets and access. Environmental impact, Take 5, we have to just acknowledge that Take 5 pose no more environmental impact than the existing car wash. Car wash uses detergents and things that are not filtered out. They just, run off or just spray it out into the parking lot. Take 5 is all contained within. All the lubricants are stored within the site and hauled inside tanks, collected inside the tanks, and then there's a special vacuum system that they take the oil from and store it in the tank, and then it's collected and recycled off-site. Future land use, just for compatibility in this area. The car wash is already enjoying the benefits of the SEC use, and Take 5 is asking to do the same. Right now, the City of Bradenton Land Development Code and Comprehensive Plan says that this area should support like car activities, and that's what Take 5 is proposing. Similar to the car wash, it's supporting the car or vehicle use activities along this corridor. Economic impact, Take 5 will generate 15 new jobs, including management and technicians on site. Car wash currently just has 1 job. So the economic impact is a benefit to the city. You have 15 more new jobs at that location without doing much. It's just a change of use. In terms of access, there was a question came up in the planning and zoning about access. There's a dual access to Manatee Avenue West at this location. And I just wanted to share this from a standpoint of just looking at the accesses overall around us. And this is very consistent with an urban corridor. You want multiple accesses for EMS traffic and traffic calming per se. The speed limit supports multiple accesses in this manner, and the uses are consistent with that. So we're saying that there is no issue with access because this is an urban corridor, and urban corridors have multiple accesses that calm the traffic down. It slows the speed of traffic coming through the area. Site plan, you can see, we're just proposing to
Is there any way we can make this any larger for those of us that remember when Eisenhower was president? I am old. I was only 3, but I do remember it.
I was gonna say, I don't remember it. I mean, I was
I
on Earth, but.
I remember it, and I'll tell you why later, but. Thank you so much.
No problem.
Yeah, it's good.
There we go. Thank you, thank you.
Thank you. As you can see, the existing site sits with the building location pretty much where it is. We're proposing to renovate the building internally to enclose the building. And right now, the car wash bays are all open. I think there's like 4 bays open. And we're gonna enclose the eastmost portion of it and then maintain the west 3 bays for the quick oil change service. For reference, all the facilities that's required by us is pretty much there on site. The parking, the refuse locations, as you can see here. Here's the existing refuse here. parking here, and we're gonna add this ADA parking. The accesses are here and here. And the circulation, everything pretty much works. For reference, I showed six cars in the wait and then 3 more cars in the service location, just so that there'd be no questions in terms of what would the stacking be. There's always a concern if there's gonna be enough stacking. ITE says there's 8 cars coming in at a peak hour, and that's pretty much the peak. I've done take fives all throughout the state, and the peak number is actually about 7 an hour. That's about the maximum number that they get. And then if you consider 7, they process a car in about 15, 20 minutes. So in an hour, they're processing 3, 4 cars out. So the stacking, 7 minus 3, they're only gonna get 4 cars stacking at most. But I just showed the 9 cars working in the bays or wait, just to show that there's should not be any issues in queuing.
Yeah, let's zoom it back out.
This is the proposed architectural elevations for the project. You can see that the bays will be enclosed, buildings will be completed out, a little bit different facades, roofing will change a little bit, but that adds a lot more aesthetic than what is there right now. And with that, I'll take questions, and of course, well, let me allow Don to come up and explain a little bit about our operations.
All right, and then we'll get questions after that.
Don Wallace, we are the owner-operator of Take 5. We have, presently, we have 3 locations, 1 in the city, 2 more in the county, on State Route 64, which is in the city. And then we have Cortez, we have Palmetto. We also are planning, with this location would be our 4th location in Manatee County. We have a site secured and under permitting at Lakewood Ranch on 64 near Pope Road. We also have a new location that we're working on in Parish 301. And then corporate also has 3 locations within Manatee County. Cumulative total, all built out with our future plans and our current locations, will provide approximately 107 jobs in Manatee County. We do have Manatee Tech Institute, their auto repair program. We've hired, we presently have 4 managers that are all from 20 to 30 years old that we promoted from within, and we have 2 more assistant managers that came from that program that we're hiring locally here, training locally here, and partnering with Manatee Tech to get a lot of our employees. And we have other employees that still go to school and actually work part-time with us as well. You know, we love City of Bradenton, Manatee County. Love being here, love doing business here. Y'all are a great community. We like to team with be a good business partner. We do local events, car shows, some other things that we'd like to do more of. We nationally Take 5. We do Folds of Honor. We hire a lot of veterans. We're a partner with Folds of Honor, and that's one of our charities. Also, Children's Foundation. We work with Children's Foundations. Sarasota, and then St. Pete. Y'all don't presently have a children's hospital in Manatee County, but that is one of our main things. We do provide for veterans. We do discounts for veterans. We do discounts for first responders, both police departments and nurses and any first responder staffs.
Fire departments?
Fire department, yes. Fire department. We also have fleet programs with, we do Manatee County Schools. We're president of Manatee County Schools. We're working with to provide additional services for Manatee County sheriffs so they don't have to go all the way to Port Manatee now for just quick oil changes. These are where they can bring their cars, get their oil changed, not have to go leave their car and get it serviced and change cars. We do Lido Beach Police Department. We take care of their cars. I know that we have our fleet folks that are working on getting in here to provide the city of services. We do Port Charlotte's, or we do Charlotte counties, and like I said, our rates are almost what a lot of the municipalities can actually buy their oil for, and then have to have somebody, all the services in downtime. So, but we do appreciate your all's consideration. Couple of the things, I know that landscaping was mentioned. We are going to enhance it a little bit with some more flowers. There's some beautiful royal palms there. We don't want to have to take those. We're just going to enhance it, clean it up, maintain it. We may put some additional fencing in around just for buffering between, it's a business offices behind us. I think a dry cleaner's next to us. And just for cut through traffic and safety purposes, we may come back in after we start construction and get a fence permit and put a nice fence up as well. But that's it.
Any questions before we go to public hearing? All right, Ms. Barnaby?
Just three things. One is, you still want to maintain 2 in on Manatee Avenue?
Yes, it's, I mean, people are used to that access. If you look up and down Manatee Ave, those access points in and out are utilized. We did look. There's been no significant accidents or there's a center lane to go into from either direction. You know, people are going to take the most convenient route. And again, also, those 2 access points across the front are part of the drainage system as well, and protection to tile the drainage back into the outfall point at the very back part of the property.
My only concern, and again, lived here all my life, used to use that car wash. Most of the time when people came off of Manatee Avenue to use the car wash, they either came around, which I'm assuming you're going to want them to do, but you've got 3 bays of stuff coming at people that way.
Yes. We have, when we guide people in, we stop them in the back. We, for safety purposes, we always give them a water, smile, tell them what they're getting ready, ask them what all services they want. We guide them into the bays. When they leave, they don't just take off out of the bays. We go outside, we look both ways, make sure there's nothing coming, and we guide them out of the bays for safety purposes.
Okay.
And then as far as pulling out on Manatee Avenue, whether they're pulling out from the side street or one of the other 2, it's pretty much the same thing.
I thought I saw something about if on Manatee Avenue, you wanted people to do right turn only. And then if you need to turn left, come on to.
DOT, it's striped. There's no double stripe or caution stripes across there, so that's not something that we could go out into the right of way and provide. That's just an existing condition from DOT.
And you're going to be doing some excavating, correct? Because aren't your employees like under the car? Or are they up on jacks?
It's 30, we do a 30-inch recessed work area.
Okay.
So in the renovation we're adding 8 feet onto the bays to make the bays a little deeper. It's part of the building renovation, which is in permitting now, waiting for the conditional use. All of that has been approved, sitting blessed by reviewed and no comments there.
Okay.
We do pull them in. There's safety rails, there's safety steps, OSHA safety steps down. Our vacuum system, the tray goes in, all the oil goes in there, goes into recycle tanks.
Okay. Just one other thing. Many times up here, we get accused of rubber stamping projects. And it was a little disconcerting to see a cover on the sign saying that it's coming soon when it hadn't been in front of the Planning Commission and it hadn't come in front of us.
Yes, we purchased the property, and again, Bob, our initial review of all of the codes and everything, with it being a car wash, the use consistent, we purchased it as we were going through the process. When we were going for our zoning letter through permitting, that's when they go, oh, wait, this has never been gotten a conditional use when it was annexed. That was just we didn't know. As soon as we were asked, say, hey, wait, we got to go through the conditional use, we were asked to cover it. We covered it, but that was, I guess, hindsight or just assumption that we were, our use was consistent with the present use.
All right, Councilman Schuessler.
Yeah, first, Ms. Barnaby, thanks for that comment. I agree with the rubber stamping. It was a little bit, I live right in the neighborhood. A little bit shocked with the signage that was up there before it had gone to planning and before us. Having said that, and looking at the ingress and egress of there and looking at the rest of the service stations that are in that area and along there, there's a Jiffy Lube, a competitor right down the street. And, I live off of 26, so I'm around and about making left and right-hand turns. And when traffic is busy, you use caution and you go beyond it and come back around. When I look at the other service stations, I do see those two ways in there, and the gas stations, and then the one on the side street. I don't see anything different. What I also just would like to mention that in looking at the Take 5 brand, the stores are clean. It's actually aesthetically an upgrade as to what is there now. So I wonder about the hesitancy of the Planning Council. I'm not an urban planner, but from what I see and what's in the area, I understand it's a special use. I just wanted to comment that I think it's a good thing.
Thank you. Mrs. Moore?
I thank you for expressing Councilman Schuessler curiosity about the Planning Commission's deliberations, because I thought that was notable too. I'm assuming it has something to do with traffic, but I agree with you that I thought that was a little interesting. And I have to defer, I think, to you all on the issue of traffic. That's not my traffic pattern to travel in that area during maybe higher peak times. So I would love to hear if anyone has more commentary about what it's like there, and how concerned we should be about that. Regarding the name of the brand, and I think this is a question for planning specifically, as you guys know, usually my concern is always not the Take 5 brand itself, but going forward in the future, what are we permitting right now? If we like the Take 5 brand and what they're proposing, what is the potential if the property changes hands or, for whatever reason, it's not a Take 5? Is it possible that the automotive use could potentially become more intense? And is that something that we just need to have a conversation about?
But so keep that on the back burner for a moment. We'll get,
Okay.
I think they'll be able to answer some of that. You can go ahead and sit down
Okay,
for now.
thank
Thank you. If you don't mind, Ms. Moore, I'll let the others, and then,
Sure.
then we'll have the Planning Commission answer to that, because they may be able to answer a bunch at once.
Yep.
So, thank you. Vice Mayor Coker.
Yeah, with just wanting, you said you wanted comments. I was a frequent flyer at the car wash, so the ingress and egress, I never had any issues with it. And from what they've presented, it sounds like it's going to be less intense. So I don't see that as a concern.
Ms. Coachman.
I didn't want to be left out. I agree with Vice Mayor. This, I think, is going to be an improvement. I can't really see any change in terms of traffic, it being excessive. I think if anything, it might be a reduction. the idea that they're going to be ADA, they're going to attempt to be more ADA accessible. That was just so apropos. So,
26.
you know, they could definitely put that in a sticker
Gotta
on
have a
their
sticker, so.
window. And another thing that really stood out to me was 15 jobs versus 1. So I'm definitely leaning towards approval. I also wondered about that vote from the Planning Commission.
Yeah,
All right,
the only
so-
thing that I had to finish was.
I'll finish my comment real quick first.
Yep.
With the pretty much adult lifelong resident in that area, and I probably drove bigger vehicles in there than any other of you, but pulling a travel trailer on my truck. And I liked the 2 accesses in and out, and that's where I would drive where we stored our travel trailer. There's a closer car wash that was like that, but it was harder to get in and out of because it only had one entrance off of Cortez Road, and then you had to go in and really maneuver. So I think keeping the 2 accesses is a plus. Plus, when you have a curb cut from DOT, you don't give it up. You just don't give it up. I mean, I don't know if anybody ever else has thought that, because to try to get a new curb cut is very difficult, and so those things aren't concerning to me. I like Mrs. Moore's question about, you know, what ifs something changes. Now, I sat through as a councilman, your other Take 5 on the corner there that was very controversial with a lot of neighbors in that. I don't think most neighbors in this area and businesses are gonna say, oh, it looks better. That's what they're gonna say. They're not gonna say, oh my God, we're putting that there. And so I think there's some positives. Obviously, I didn't sit through the planning commission and know things, but I like when people have their opinions, and that's why we have 7 members on that planning commission, and 5 were there that day. And, you know, they make their decisions known, and for whatever reason, it was 3-2. But I think that there's some opportunity, and I like cleaning up the property. I do like what they said possibly about a fence around the back, because, and I think a fence around the back around the side would actually help their property look better, because they, you know, the property next to it isn't kept up as well. You know, and that's just what, you know, the goal is to try to get things along that keep it up. So I don't think there's, I mean, nobody's jumping for joy or not jumping, you know, it's gonna be a same use. You know, we missed the car wash, but car washes change, especially the ones on Manatee Avenue and the way car washes operate now. So, but yeah, so now maybe you can give us a comment on, because once we approve something, it stays forever unless they're there for 12 months consistently. How does that work?
So, to what Moore said, you could put a stipulation or some sort of thing on it saying that, you know, they're allowed to do what is stated, outdoor storage or other more intensive automotive uses would not be allowed. That is something that you could look at. But also, if they were to sell to a different type of automotive use, that automotive use would have to be consistent with the service station / repair. If they were to become more intensive or do something outside of that purview, then they would probably have to go back before you, depending on what type of use they're trying to do, in which case you have more say. But it is always
exactly what
concern.
they were proposing, and then they sold it to somebody else, and it was the exact same thing again. That could be it. If it was going to more intense than what they're doing,
It would have to depend on if more intense falls within what is currently being proposed as the use type. Like if more cars were to show up, you know, we love when businesses are busy. But if it became way too much, or if they started to do, say, service station repair and cars were staying there overnight, for instance, then that is obviously
more intense.
So it is,
idea.
yeah, it is a concern always to look forward, which planners love when council members say to think forward. But yeah, you have the ability to add, take away, and
But we don't want all of a sudden, like you said, cars are staying overnight because now they're changing alternators and everything else. This is basically an oil change and minimum pipe to tube, you know, whatever they can do really in 15 minutes, which I think that's probably the use. And I may disagree on one thing that they brought up about 452 cars going through there for a car wash. I don't think that ever happened, but that's what could happen if it was the maximum use. But I still think it's gonna be on a weekend, less cars during the week. It's definitely gonna be about the same, because there's very few cars that would go to that car wash during the week. It's mostly Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And your hours are probably 7 days a week, I think, so it's gonna stay similar, open hours, but no, and then that car wash has been in disrepair for years. So, Ms. Barnaby.
Thank you. Don't go anywhere. As it stands now, are they allowed to have outside storage?
The car wash.
The car wash? No, I'm talking about, Take Five. I was looking at it and they were saying there was not gonna be any outside storage.
There is
Do we
not.
need to put that, but I'm concerned, like Ms. Moore has brought up, that, we need to memorialize that should it change, that there is to be no outside storage, no cars overnight, that sort of thing? Do we need to put that in there?
So outdoor storage is prohibited by the future land use. However, you can add whatever you would like.
That is a very dangerous thing to say to a woman.
I trust your reasoning.
Wow,
like
he's
Brandon.
wise for his age.
I know. So what would be, to move this along to a public hearing and open the public hearing, do we want to listen to the public?
Sure.
And then we'll come back and come up with a stipulation that might help us feel a little bit better that if they do change the use, but similar, it can't expand into more, so. All right, so at this time, I'll open the public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak? Anyone wishing to speak? Anyone wishing to speak? Hearing no public comment, we'll close the public hearing. So, Ms. Barnaby, do you want to propose something, or?
Well, I've been staring at Mr. Rudisil, but he's not looking my way.
That's because I was writing.
Okay. Me to you, okay.
So I have a suggestion for a stipulation, and then we'll bring the applicant up and we'll
See
if they're in
they're
agreement
comfortable.
with it. But based on the discussion, my thought was we'd have a stipulation that would say the use shall be limited to oil change and minor repairs, and no outdoor storage or overnight vehicle storage shall be permitted.
Come forward to see if you,
And we do not have.
state your name again for the record.
Don Wallace.
Yeah, okay. For Take Five.
Take Five Oil Change. We do not do any type of repairs that somebody would have to leave their cars, or somebody drops their car off, say, I'll come back and pick it up tomorrow for the oil change. We don't.
So you would accept those?
We
if
would
was
accept
an
that. The
stipulation?
only other thing that we do have is we do have our marketing vehicles that would be parked out front, and it's a little Tykes car and some of those. But
Move
as
them
long as-
around to different locations?
Yeah, we move them around to different locations, mainly bring them in for events or customer appreciations or stuff that we're doing, and so they kind of come and go. But those would be
Sitting there overnight?
Those would be
once in a
sitting there
while?
overnight. Normally, the cars go into the bay, and it would just be the trailer that hauls it around that might be sitting out there, and that's
In the
not a
back parking
permanent fixture.
That's, okay. So it's not necessarily
No,
a
it's not
permanent
anything that's
thing.
getting repairs or stored or anything like that.
All right, so Chair will entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, ma'am, Ms. Barnaby.
Mr. Rudisil, I'm going to try to do my best because I was making very furious notes, so if
Well-
I mess it up,
Let me do this, I just tweaked it a little bit based on his comments.
okay?
And so I think the motion would be, it'd be a motion to approve Resolution 26-04 with the addition of stipulation number 2 to read, The use shall be limited to oil change and minor repairs, and no outdoor storage or overnight storage for vehicle repair shall be permitted.
So moved.
I will move that with the stipulation.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Schuessler. All right, any further discussion?
Ask a quick question.
Yes, sir.
My technology's not working today, so I just wanted to make sure Mr. Rudisil mentioned that was stipulation 2. Is stipulation 1 referring to the SIPs reviewed for compliance with Florida Fire?
That's correct.
Thank you.
Good. All right, hearing nothing else, we'll start the vote to approve in Ward 1,
Yes.
2,
Yes.
3,
Yes.
4,
Yes.
5.
Yes.
Carries 5-0. Thank you very much. Thank you. Madam Clerk.
The next item is new business.
Mr. Perry, did you have anything?
Just one item, Mayor.
Yes, sir.
Again, I bring items to you pursuant to our emergency purchase policy at the next scheduled meeting. And we had a public works expenditure on February 6th that was submitted by Colonel Lee in the amount of $325,000. And
Don't use that mic.
that was for Woodruff and Sons for disc filters at the wastewater reclamation facility. I don't really know a whole lot more about it. So Mr. Lee's here if you do have any questions, but that disc filter is obviously a pretty important piece of our machinery and apparatus down there. And I know that we installed the supplemental disc filter. I don't know if it has to do with that or not. He's nodding his head that it is, so I think it's related to that particular purchase. And I think we actually leased that disc filter, and I'm getting another nod. So I'm assuming this has to do with either the installation or the lease of that disc filter. And a third nod.
Nod yes.
Yes, yeah.
All right, any questions? Anything else, Mr. Perry?
I have one other matter that I'd like to bring to the council's attention under new business. And it's an interesting and legacy matter. It's kind of been looming in the community, actually back to about the 1950s, which is the bus bench signs. And we've had some litigation dispositive of certain actions regarding the bus bench signs. As council may or may not know, they started in 1950, I think it was 52, 55, something along those lines. And way back in the day, it was amended with a contract, new contract in 1972, and then a substantial amendment to that in 1995. When I came in 2021, I had been told by Mr. McClellan and some counselors that they had concerns about the blight and unsightliness and lack of functionality of the 140-plus benches that are out in the community, particularly in their position, their condition, their relationship to right-of-way, their possible encroachment onto private property, as well as their position as it relates to the county's efforts for their metro, the MCAT system, their mass transit system. And of course, the county had come in and put in shelters where a lot of these benches were, to weather shelters, basically, guard against rain, UV, and provide benches in those areas to people waiting for a bus. And that was all done with federal transit money in coordination with the county. The vast majority of those benches are either on a state road or a north-south artery for the county as well. And of course, we don't have those right-of-ways. So at any rate, I began to talk with Metro Bench back in 2021, thereabouts, and look at the options. It became clear to me at that time that based on that 1972 and the ensuing 1995 amendment, that Metro Bench was taking a position that the city could never terminate these unless specific conditions and opportunities to cure were executed, but that it was a continuing contract in perpetuity. And when lawyers hear that, they go, we're not so sure that there are such things. They're usually frowned upon as a matter of public policy. And so I began to discuss that and a potential about reducing benches as well as redoing the benches, the quality of them, and things like that. But Metro never really came off that position. And so I consulted with Mr. Rudisil, and it was, I don't want to get too deep into that, but it was pretty clear that the only way we were going to be able to kind of resolve this stalemate was by litigation. And so we initiated litigation for what's called declaratory judgment. We wanted the court to declare whether those provisions allowed for termination under certain conditions and notices, what provisions of the contract controlled, and to further complicate it, the 1995 amendment was unsigned by the city, I think, and no reference to any city council meeting. Yeah, so it really meant whether it had legal efficacy is a question and a whole host of other things, right? But we looked at it, and Mr. Udicel gave me very good legal advice, which was basically that we need to send them a letter and tell them that we are going to exercise the termination provisions, that we believe that the 95 provisions had extensions potentially of 10 years and a second one, but that would expire in 2025, the end of 2025. And so lo and behold, we went to court last week, and Daniel Van Etten from Blaylock handled the litigation, and he made two key arguments about them to the court. The plaintiffs, Metro, insisted that they had a non-terminable contract and they had exclusive rights, and that if their benches were moved or in disrepair, it was the responsibility of the city. And we argued basically against that at a preliminary injunction. We had sent them a letter telling them that second term was expiring, and we expected them to remove their benches, or that we would remove them for them and then charge them back cost. And so they went to court and filed a preliminary injunction, attempting to prevent the city from doing just that. They have the burden of proof under preliminary injunction. There's four components, but the three that were applicable mostly to this case was their likelihood of success on the merits, their adequacy of a remedy at law, and a public policy interest. And so that's what the hearing focused upon. And we went before the Manatee Circuit Court, the State Circuit Court for Manatee County, and we had a hearing. And they asserted those arguments, and we countered those arguments and talked about the exclusivity provision and whether it's a lease or a licensing agreement. But moreover, we talked about the fact that we can't give them something we don't have, even if they were correct with their exclusivity, meaning we can't tell the county where to put benches, or the state where to allow benches and the like. And then, perhaps more importantly, we had conducted a very extensive professional engineering survey regarding the location of the benches, the condition of the benches, and the compliance of the benches with the Florida Administrative Code, the Florida Accessibility Code, and the federal ADA. And the firm that we engaged to do that is a specialty firm out of Tampa or St. Pete that actually does that work. I mean, that's their sweet spot. And out of the 47 benches they surveyed, they found that 45 of them did not meet one of those three requirements. That's required by FDOT for any clearance, as well as required pursuant to the Green Book and other traffic engineering standards. And so between our expert and myself explaining that a good number of these, we don't have certain rights to tell them where to put the benches, tell them whether the exclusivity provides, and then arguing the legality of the termination provisions, the court ruled in our favor and found specifically that there was not a likelihood to prevail on the merits by Metro Bench, and that there would be an adequate remedy at law. We are in the process right now of negotiating a negotiated resolution and settlement of the case, which requires Metro to remove all benches within the city, to waive any and all claims against us, and we would do the same against them. And each party goes their own way. But it ends a 75-year saga of the bus bench. And there's a lot more to this story. I don't need specific action at this point, but I do feel that it's incumbent upon me to advise council. The reason why I don't think I need specific action is because there is no financial settlement that's being laid out by the city. It's a contract interpretation on a contract that I have to administer in my official capacity, and also it's advanced basically in the interest of good roadway safety and things of that nature. So that's where I stand, and I hope to finalize that fairly quickly. I applaud Mr. Rudisell for bearing with me for the last many years, and probably doing a lot of research before the litigation team got involved, as well as the litigation team, it's a good outcome. And I just point out that Metro Bench is pretty litigious. They had been involved in 3 cases that had gone to court previously. I believe it was Tarpon Springs, Gainesville, and Jacksonville, and their attorney was pretty good. And they prevailed in all 3 of those cases.
Vice Mayor Coker.
Yes. Can we put a hard deadline on having those?
It's 120 days as proposed.
Good.
Mrs. Moore.
I'm just curious, I'm sure I'm not the only one that hears sometimes from businesses that advertise on those benches. Does Metro contract directly with those businesses? Do we have any problems?
That's not really our concern.
Well, I just want to make sure that
Yeah,
we're not
yeah.
later going to be accused of some kind of interference.
Let,
with
let me
that.
just explain something about the contracts themselves as originally stated. Initially, Metro was to provide nonprofits in the community, specifically the Boys and Girls Club, Girls Only, yep.
Girls Inc.
And the Lions Club. The only 2 that are existent at this time as it relates to having contracts for the revenue share with Metro, and this was fleshed out at the hearing, is the Lions Club. The Lions Club joined, and I don't know why they joined. And when we asked how much revenue was received and what the revenue share was, we didn't get answers. Now, as it relates to advertisers and things that might be on there, we don't advertise. That's not our core business. And although I'm sympathetic to those advertisers and don't pass judgment on the value they receive for that, this saga has to end, in my opinion.
Yeah, the nature of my question was, and I imagine, I trust Mr. Russo and his team, that it has been addressed, and it is just whether or not those advertisers had any claims against the city for us. Now, they're in a contract presumably with Metro, and this is probably outside of the purview of what we really need to talk about. But presumably, they're in a contract with Metro directly, that now Metro can no longer perform because we are removing the benches. And so I'm thinking, okay, well, that's between you 2 now. That has nothing to do with the city.
Right. I remember law school, that whole couple weeks in the bar exam about legality of contract.
Mr. Rudisil, do you have?
I'm not trying to find this. I'm not a litigator.
Well, I would just say, the approach we took was to give them a significant amount of notice of our termination of the agreement. So I think we gave them 2 years plus.
Okay.
And so once they dismiss their claim, all we have is our termination of their agreement, which we provided notice of over 2 years ago. So I don't see how there's any claim of, that we interfered with their contract or anything like that.
Ms. Coachman?
Thank you. Okay, so it sounds like this is just gonna be a wash, right? But what about legal fees? Shouldn't they pay our legal fees?
It's a good question.
Or just
Right.
make it a wash and just
I
forget it.
I think the latter is
Count the loss.
what's in the best interest of the city, in my opinion. And one of the reasons why is that there are certain statutes that have mandatory legal fees for prevailing party.
Right.
This is not one of them. It's discretionary. And to that extent, usually it's an uphill climb on discretionary legal fees. And we basically have to continue with the litigation on the declaratory judgment and probably incur another significant, probably twice as much was expended already.
Yeah.
And that being the case, I think it's time to just
Yeah, just cut
look
them
at that's the price of doing business.
Ms.
Sounds
Barnaby.
good.
Ms. Barnaby.
Are you done, Mrs. Coachman? Or would you-
Yes.
Oh,
She's
okay.
done. I got the nod
Okay.
from her.
Okay, well, I can't see
I know,
her
the
unless I
curve.
lean way forward. A couple of things. One is, I know that there are some benches in Manatee Avenue in Ward 2 that I think people tend to use. And if we're gonna remove those, can we contact the county and ask them to replace them with just the regular little county?
If
I
it's
mean-
a bus.
Well, yeah, and I'll comment to that a little bit, being MPO and different things involved. And at one point, many years ago, being the largest bench advertiser for my private world. I think every bus stop has either the pole with the two little side things, or it has a bench, or it has a covering now. And that's where, when this all started, and when it, many years ago, and doing all the research through it, they were putting them at, it was a JC project, I think, that they were putting them at, for people to have a place to sit. And how they paid for them was through the advertising, and then they were giving money to local organizations, Bradenton, Manatee County organizations. Well, when the company had got bought out over a couple of times, then all of a sudden, the Boys and Girls Club of another area was getting money, and they were trying to claim that that's what, it was still going to the charity, but it wasn't the charity of Manatee County. So, and as still an advertiser in the private world, you know, I look at the looks of our city, and when you have a bus stop and 50 feet away you have an advertising bench, it's not really for the bus stop anymore. So that's why I was in support of this, going through. And I think, you know, sometimes, you know, a win is a win, and the more you do, and when they've prevailed in their other cities, and the other cities had to pay their legal fees, a win is a win. And especially when the other side comes to us and says, hey, maybe we should both walk away with a little frown or smile. And I think I know most of the advertisers on it. I don't know that it's gonna be a big deal. And when I got sued at my private business for $5 million because the advertising bench was blocking with a motorcycle death on Manatee Avenue, and the Metro bench wasn't willing to let us out of the lawsuit until we had to force our way out. You know, there's some other issues that they've not bus stop benches anymore. They were advertising signs, which we don't allow. Chief Kramer.
Thank you, and I'll say thank you to both of you, Mr. Rudisil and Mr. Perry, for pushing us through. I know it's an issue that when I was on council was, and beyond that, it was been trouble for a long time. One thing that the county benches, bus stop with the coverings and all that, we're actually able to enforce trespass warnings, that the county has a blanket trespass warning for their bus stops. We can't do that on these benches because we have to get actually the property owners, like you were saying, if it's several feet away, it adds to that blight, that slum, 14th Street versus Tamiami Trail look that you've talked about so many times.
Well, this goes a lot deeper than just another advertising bench that's not in the right spot. Most of them are on private property, which isn't ours. Most of the roads aren't ours, you know, so it really, it's a community solution going long-term. So, Ms. Barnaby, I'm sorry for interrupting.
That's okay. I think I was in my very second, my first year in office, my very second council meeting back in 1998, and we were talking about this. Because there were people complaining back then, and the buses were not being kept up, and they looked terrible. And if I was an advertiser, the way that some of them looked, I would have never signed another contract with those people, because they weren't kept up. I'm very grateful that we are not having to deal with this any longer, and I appreciate everything everybody did.
Just as a point to Councilor Barnaby's comment, when we researched it, we had found out that I think it was Keep Manatee Beautiful back in '95 when they met. I think it was '95. There was a couple of newspaper articles written and actually an editorial and letters to the editor opposing allowing the benches. But that's not the predicate of the legal rights here, and I don't want to talk too much more because it's not finalized. If there's no objection, I'd like to proceed as suggested and accordingly for Mr. Rudisil and myself to resolve the matter.
All right. Thank you very much. Anything else, Mr. Perry?
No, sir.
All right.
We do have, when you go to directors, I know Director Lee wants to
Yes.
say a couple of words,
All
but
right,
we
any
have not there yet. Yeah.
Any unfinished business?
No, sir.
Okay, so, all right, council reports. We'll start in Ward 3.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to take a moment to talk about expectations, not just for staff or council, but for all of us in the city. I've spent a lot of time over the past weeks talking with Ward 3 residents at their homes and their businesses, and out in the community. And what I hear most often isn't ideology or politics. It's very practical concerns: roads, drainage, public safety, code enforcement, and the overall quality of life in our neighborhoods. People want to know that City Hall is focused on the basics and that decisions are being made clearly, consistently, and in the open. The Face It and Fix It initiative is a perfect example of this. Transparency isn't just about posting online in the book of face, as Marianne Barnaby likes to say. It's about explaining what we do and why we do, and making sure residents feel respected in the process. I believe our job as council members is to ask good questions, set clear priorities, and make sure the city is delivering measurable results that will make everyone happy. Every decision, however, should be understandable. My commitment to Ward 3 and to this council is simple. I'll listen first, I'll focus on outcomes over headlines, and I'll work collaboratively to move this city forward in a way that's responsible and sustainable. I appreciate everyone who has taken the time to reach out, meet with me, and stay engaged over the past couple of weeks. This involvement only makes us better. So thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Mrs. Moore?
I have a couple of things. The first one is, thank you for that, Councilman Schuessler, I agree. I know that we're not in a CRA meeting, but I think it's good information for anyone, not just the CRA board. I listened to the podcasts generated by Mr. Mugnon and Dr. Burton that were basically summations of the, just for the general public, because this is technically a CRA, this is what I'm talking about. The CRA engaged the services of a person named Randy Iaboni. He prepared some data reporting on each of the CRAs. They were quite lengthy. They were each about 200 pages long, and Mr. Mugnon created a podcast to listen to that encompassed all the information and the data in those. They're 30 minutes, and if you haven't had an opportunity to listen to them, I just really strongly suggest that you do. They're well done, and the information is literally mind-blowing. Just the data in it is so good. It's just so great. And I also think that we should share it. I think we should be sharing the content with our economic redevelopment partners, including the Chamber and the EDC. And so that was just a little plug for the podcasts are good. They're only 30 minutes, but it's a lot of info, and I think you all would enjoy it. And it would frame our discussions up here, I think, you know, inside and outside of the CRA. So we have a new Detweilers coming. This is not anything I've heard officially. I have heard it, like, you know, most of you up here on social media and whatnot. Detweilers is allegedly coming and opening a new location on East State Road 64, adjacent to the River Isles neighborhood. And I'm hearing a lot of concerns from that neighborhood regarding the potential, super excited about the Detweilers, huge win. For many reasons, including, I think, our common goal of trying to encourage a grosser and more economic redevelopment as you move westward towards downtown. But they're very concerned about traffic in that area, and I'm sure you all have heard these kind of concerns as well. And so I'm being asked if we're doing a traffic study, if FDOT is doing a traffic study. So I'm just throwing that out there. I don't know the answer to those questions. But I know that a couple of you, obviously the mayor's chair of the MPO, maybe you have some information in that regard. Maybe we could meet with them and maybe, you know, calm any concerns and address anything. So that's just a question thrown out there. And then just to, also similarly, maybe I'm directing everything towards the mayor, I was unable to attend the last week's FDOT consultant meetings regarding the Bradenton Palmetto connector, but if it's not inappropriate, maybe to share what I heard. Yep, good news. I'll let you share it. And then just quick, just to give you all updated, I have been out of town for the past week or so, And then upon my return, I saw that the temporary 13 lift station is really making a lot of great, strides in its construction and whatnot. I appreciate Public Works being very patient with the neighbors and the immediate, that are literally adjacent to the site, regarding noise and construction and that sort of thing. Again, they're just nervous, but I have heard nothing but wonderful things about their interactions with Public Works when they express their concerns about noise and that sort of thing. But it's moving along, and it looks great, so that's all I've got.
Couple things. First off, River Isles, I have talked with Wayne out at River Isles, who's coordinating some of that, working through some of it. We've talked with our planning staff, and right now they don't have a permit in, but they had a demolition permit, so they're going. But it was an existing grocery store at one point, went to a Office Depot or office supply store, and now going through it. There is a meeting already scheduled for March 9th. You probably have that letter up on your desk, that we're gonna meet with them. And obviously, you're invited. We'll do all the public records notices and that to talk to them. DOT's involved, the city's working on things. Some of the things we can do, I think that will help, that won't cost a lot of money, because, you can do lights, you can do different things. So we're working through that with DOT. And sometimes we get the cart before the horse on some things, but I don't blame them. But obviously, we all have to be open-minded and go through it, because it wasn't a pre-existing grocery store before. And I think, and I told the gentleman yesterday, I said, we're panicking over something that is successful compared to other ones that may not have been as successful, and he agreed. But Detweiler's, in itself, in its Palmetto store, is bar none the busiest one. When you go to 53rd Avenue store, it's not as busy. And I believe this store will be just like that 53rd Street store, where it went into an existing Winn-Dixie, but the one in Palmetto draws from a lot more. So the gentleman did say, well, that does make sense. So, but again, it still doesn't defer that we should be checking on things and making things easier. That light, Mr. Perry and I had a long conversation about it. I think that light from DOT can be better. The light in itself might solve the majority of the problems. And then also looking at where you can do, because that is what's the proper word I'm looking for? The president is in the audience of the association right now. That is one of our senior residencies, communities, that sometimes a little bit more safety is good. Yes. And that's what we want. So, which is important for all of us. And then what was the next one?
Shoot.
The connector.
Oh, the connector, yeah. So I went to the meeting, and Mr. Perry had left just before I got there. And if you looked at the map, they had the final 3 down from 10 to 3. They had the map up. They had the DeSoto corridor. Then they had the other 2 corridors, and the other 2 corridors had big X's on them. So that means that they've ruled those 2 out, and they're working on the DeSoto corridor. There's other things that we will bring up later on that will, I think, make a lot of people happy, but it's still in the early infancy parts of it, to move to the corridor. The word I'm looking for is to try to move more traffic through there quicker, because now we believe that a lot of people believe that we're up to 60% of the north-south traffic is through traffic. So you have to figure a way to get that 60% from stopping the east and west traffic. So they're looking at some things that trips to Tallahassee, positive reinforcement, playing nice in the sandbox will benefit you. And so, and while we're talking about it, I'll go ahead and talk about our Tallahassee, because that's the biggest thing, and it's the old 80-20 rule. If you agree with somebody 80% of the time, that doesn't mean you crucify them for the other 20, because everybody differs politically at times. Even if you're on the same team, you play on a football team, you're not going to get along with all 54 players. You play on a hockey team, you play on anything. But when you're wanting to go there and get stuff or win in a sports type thing, you're going to play as a team. And I think that's what we do great up here, and with a great collaboration from our staff. But those meetings went so well, and we have an appropriations ask of $24.5 million, which would advance a lot more of the stuff we want to do to help our citizens. Traffic, other things. You know, we just got the traffic study for Manatee Avenue, and a lot of it's matching money. So I know Mr. Perry and Mr. Williams is probably on a plane flying back, having a heart attack, or driving back because money, but that's something we're gonna have to really work through, and we saw that money doesn't solve everything, but it helps going down the road quicker. So that Tallahassee trip was great, and I appreciate everybody articulating on it and working with them. So, but that just plays into your question. So what can we do better? And I think we're at that point now that we are. 175 million kind of already articulated in things, and the projects are starting to happen and see now. The underground stuff we don't see, but it doesn't mean it's not happening. And, you know, we were fortunate last year. Mr. Perry said last year with the hurricanes, but that was 2 years ago now. It's hard to say that because we're 2 years out from that and almost getting into the third hurricane season coming up. But not having anything last year really played into keeping things moving. I believe Dr. Lee was going to talk about, Colonel Lee, you get a promotion maybe to Colonel. Colonel Lee will talk about some of those things. If he wasn't going to, I was going to ask him to, about maybe a taste of our water and some different things. But some of the monies we got is going to help fix some of that plant too. So, so anyway, no, I think all those, was there one more thing?
I think that was it, but that's great, thank you.
Lift
Yes, I
Station
know, it's
13?
exciting. Oh, Lift Station
Oh,
13 is
yes.
going,
No,
yeah,
but
that's
it is
going very well.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
And-
that was really a shout out to Public Works because
Yeah.
I know that there's been angst about the relocation of the pump and that sort of thing. But I feel like the site, I mean, as from what I can tell, is not being in construction, but I feel like the site is well maintained. The pump has been moved, and that means it's closer to the residences, and they were concerned about that. But I believe that, for, you know, again, sorry, not a techie, whatever tinkering has taken place has been effective, and it is quiet, so they're appreciative of
Yeah,
that.
there's a lot of different, that was one of the questions we got, Mr. Williams and I got, while Mr. Perry was talking on the lawsuit, I think, the other day in Tallahassee, that our generator, and the generators, there's different types, and there's quieter generators, so I think that's something, and Ms. Barnaby has a part in her neighborhood that has a pump station where we actually sold the front part of it, left the original lift station with the generator, and the people live within feet of that generator, and there's no issues.
Yeah,
So,
that's nice. That's great.
so that was one of the things, and, you know, the challenge was accepted and taken by some of those residents that said nothing's gonna happen.
Yes.
And
it is
so,
happening.
so I hope that those residents, if they do hear this and watch it, you know, if you were mad at somebody for something that we didn't do, we're facing it and fixing it. And, you know, it may not be exactly how you like it, but we're gonna face and fix it, and we're gonna make it happen. And, because when they challenged me, I said, you've never seen me as mayor and with the rest of a great council and staff. So that is I
just
think
on
we're
that-
working, yeah.
On that point, you know, you see temporary lift station 13 as the interim collection facility, but there was also concern by the neighbors about, well, don't just leave it there, you're not gonna do the rest of the project. Well, lift station 3 is heavily under planning, design, and you'll start seeing some things, and my hat goes off to Colonel Lee and his team, and Mr. Ferentz, and Don Demonia, and all those folks involved in those projects, Kim and her engineering team, because they are expediting it, pedal to the metal.
Yeah, and they really are being, I mean, when they face the community, I am hearing back. The guys are great. The guy, you know, they listen to me, they're responding, they're tinkering, they're making it quieter. So that is kudos to the work that you guys are doing.
Yeah, we have on-site inspectors out there. Roy Lessing's our inspector that's assigned to it, and of course, Mr. Demonius out there pretty regularly dealing with community relations.
They love 'em.
And they're good, they love them, yep.
And I'm not gonna say I drive by every day.
But it's
I
close.
drive by, we don't go anywhere in Manatee County, East County, City of Bradenton that I'm not driving by and talking to them. So, because again, it's important, and I'm not saying
Yeah,
that
no, they
for
love
me.
it. I think
say it
it's
because
good.
it's important
Yes.
that we're doing what we say, and we're facing and fixing it. Face it and fix it, because again, we didn't control what happened in the past
Right.
as much, but we can control what going forward. And thank goodness we are collaborating locally, state and federally
Yes.
for help. All right, so anything else, Mrs. Moore?
That is it for me.
All
Thank
right,
you.
Mrs. Coachman.
Hey, first off, I want to applaud you for doing what you did in the past 2 weeks, it sounds like, you know, talking to the people that live around you, you know, live with you, and hearing what their needs are. I also have in my ward a lot of people that are vocal about what the city does for, you know, us and what it doesn't do. And I when I first came in office, prior to you, Colonel Lee, our Public Works Director, Mr. McClellan, I talked to him, and I talked about it in council, that there are parts of this city where people collectively feel like they aren't heard, we don't care. Yeah, they'll do it over there, but they won't do it here. And one of the projects, I guess, I wanted was for us to face and fix things as quickly as possible as, you know, concerns would come up, so that that area or those neighborhoods would feel like, no, we do care. We're taking care of it. You know, you said it, you know, you need this, we're gonna take, if it's something that can be taken care of. As opposed to the thought that, yeah, if it happened over on the extreme west, you fix it like that. But if it happened on the east, yeah, you'll take your time. Well, in this past couple of weeks, I have been hearing from citizens, and once we know, once Colonel Lee is aware, once Mr. Perry is aware, all of us, once we're aware, it's fixed. It's faced and fixed. And I just want to say kudos to everyone, of course, but I am, as a resident of Ward 5, and I'm gonna do this without crying, I appreciate the efforts that this city, this body, and all of staff, what they do to totally turn around the mindset of a segment of this city that for a long time felt like they don't. When I say Ward 5 is alive, what spearheaded that in me early on in my career up here was it was so much going on in Ward 5, and it still is. And prior to being elected in office, to get to know Ward 5, and it was during COVID and church was online, I would drive the grid of Ward 5 so I could learn all the pieces and parts of Ward 5. And I have to say, I've gotten a little lazy. But after something recently was brought up to us about some safety issues around well, not a construction site, but a site that work is going on, and there was no fencing around, and children could get, you know, injured, anyone could get injured, and that was taken care of. So those are the kinds of things that stimulate me to say Ward 5 is alive, and I almost retired it, but I can't because it's going on. So from here on out, I'm going to do my best. All the projects that are going on in Ward 5, I'm going to make sure I drive by and just take a little peek, and not micromanaging or anything like that, but it's just that it's something that I stopped doing that I should be doing because it is a lot going on. And okay. And there were some things that has happened. The headliners luncheon, where the GM of the Pittsburgh Pirates, Ben Charrington, I was moved by a statement he made. He was, of course, you know, being very appreciative of the relationship of the city of Bradenton and the county as well in working with the Pirates and the Marauders. But when he said, this area stands out from other areas that host spring trainings of Major League Baseball. And he made the comment that here, all of his players could find somewhere to live. You know, whereas in other places, yeah, the high-end players, they were like, yeah, I got this, you know. But the others, they probably had to live 2 hours away, you know. Whereas here, this area offers affordable housing. And that just really stood out to me, because that just says we're doing something right. We're really doing something right. It's Black History Month. I'm not going to get in trouble not talking about Black history. That 20%, you know, they'll forget all the 80%. Barnyard Restaurant on MLK, 9th Avenue, is doing something special. And I'm going to have to take a sip of water, sorry. Mark Rubio, you have nothing on me. That wasn't meant to be political, okay? They are featuring local people that are making history. And I just hope that not only will you go to Barnyard and enjoy the great food and give them your business, because they are showing love to the community. We need to show it back. But do take a look at their Facebook page, because they're talking about local people that are making history. Yeah, they put one on for me. I actually missed it. I had to go back and see it. But I was so excited to see the other local people making history. Gary Lowe, the very first Black police chief in Palmetto. His brother, Michael, was the very first Black firefighter in Bradenton. There was a feature on Reggie Bellamy, Susie Copeland, Coach Robert Powell, and they did one on me. I was the first Black female to be elected on city council. And it's just some history, but it's different from what you normally hear during February. It's local, and I hope everyone will, you know, take some time and just look at who's featured each day, just to know that you are among, and I'm not saying to toot my horn, you're among people that are really trying to make a difference. So yeah, you pulled it up, didn't you?
I sure did. Let's see.
I really missed it. I caught on to they were doing it when they did Reggie Bellamy, and I just kept going each day to look. And I said, I'm glad they didn't do me, because I'll probably get negative posts, you know. And then I went back, I was like, oh, they did. But anyway, it's just great to see them honoring people here locally. I think it's important for young people to understand that, because all they hear, you know, of course, are the big names, and these are people that they can actually touch. I'm kind of getting emotional, so I need to just say kudos always to staff, every last one of you. You make Face It and Fix It happen. You do, every last one of you. And I'm appreciative. I mean, my time is short up here, but I am just full with being able to work with all of you and all of you up here as well. War 5 is alive.
Thank you. Ms. Coker.
Thank you. First, I want to offer my condolences on the passing of Wyling Graham from the Graham family. They've been here for a long time, and she's been a wonderful member of this community, and she will be greatly missed. Her service is, I'll have to get you the information. It is open to the public. And I'm sorry.
I didn't know.
Also, I wanted to mention, I really did enjoy Ben Charrington, the general manager of the Pirates. It really spoke loudly to me about the partnership that we have with the Pirates. And he talked about really we are one of the best locations for the spring training and for the teams. And I think it goes both ways. And I'm excited, and I hope that the members of the community will go out and support at the Pirates Pep Rally this Saturday evening on Old Main Street. It's always a lot of fun. Great opportunity to meet some of the players, get signatures, and just be the support that I know we're capable of doing. I don't know if I'm able to address this. We recently had an issue with an HOA payment. I don't know if.
No.
Don't talk about it?
Please don't.
Okay. Then the trip to Tallahassee last week was very successful, in my opinion. I really enjoyed going up there and supporting our local leaders. I don't know if everybody appreciates the leadership that we send to Tallahassee with our representatives and the incoming Senate president. And it was very good to go there. I think we support them and they support us. I think it was a great opportunity to interact and get to know some of the county people, because they were all there in force for Manatee County Day, and I just think it was a great opportunity. And a lot of people, any criticism of us going to Tallahassee is unfounded. If you understood how the sausage gets made, you know it's important for us to be up there and to have your voices be heard. And so I just wanted to express how successful I think that trip was. And that's all.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, ma'am.
may I just say something?
Sure.
The trip to Tallahassee, I really was, I physically was sick. I ended up being sick that week, but also sick that I could not go. I really wanted to go, but I'm sure all the governor and all that are in education would understand I could not miss so many days during FTE week, because that's how we get some of our funding. So, but I really am happy that you all went up there, and it is, I think it's important. And anyone that feels that it was a negative thing, I feel sad that they don't fully understand.
All right, thank you. Ms. Barnaby.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This Friday night, the Manatee High girls basketball team, who won districts last Friday night, will be in competition again at 7 o'clock at the Manatee High School gymnasium. And they're playing the same team that they beat last Friday night. I don't think I'm being dramatic when I say it's going to be a grudge match. There was some activity after the last game from the team that did not come out victorious. So I would really like to encourage anyone, if you want to see a good ball game, come on out to Manatee High on Friday night and watch the girls play. They will surprise you. They are scrappy. And I mean, I used to hear in high school, it's like you have to sacrifice your body for sport. These young ladies, I mean, dang. I was so impressed watching them. Also want to echo about Valentine's Day. If you're going to come down and see the Pirates, I think that's great. I would also like to encourage you, if you have a Valentine or you're thinking about asking somebody to be your Valentine, a nice dinner out is a good way to go, and we have some wonderful restaurants in downtown that are doing special Valentine meals. I would recommend you get your reservation if you're talking about Sofra, if you're talking about Pier 22. I think they're going to be pretty full, so I would recommend getting a reservation for that. And I am looking very much forward to the open house with Public Works that we're doing here at City Hall on February the 17th. I strongly encourage those who have strong opinions about what they think the city is doing to come on down and find out the facts about what the city is doing. So
Arnie, I'm going to interrupt you real quick if that's all right, because
well,
people that are the ones that aren't going to come down are the ones that don't want to find out the facts. And that's one of the things that Ms. Tiffany and her group is doing to really produce the facts. And I think I've had people say, well, you don't say it. You don't get it. And where are you saying it? So whether they watch these meetings or not, I think that's important. Go to our website, Face It and Fix It. And because when they don't want the information, they just post negative on Facebook. And unfortunately, and I'm biased for the last 6 years, and before that, I had 7.5 years on the council. I think the last 6 years, we have done more than the city did in the previous 40 to 50 years, because
Absolutely
we're
agree.
facing it and fixing it, and I'll have some more comments in my time, so.
the other thing I would like to do is I want to say thank you to our police department, because every time I have noticed something that caused me concern, when I called over and asked, you know, can you tell me what's going on, or have you had someone look at it? You do. I get information back, and I very much appreciate that.
You're welcome.
He's still recovering.
I also want to thank Public Works. Just this week, I got an email from someone thanking us for how our solid waste employees do their job. And as you all know, that does not happen every day. You know, it's pretty much every day we get told what we haven't done right.
Irv's
Or
mother,
that-
from Irv's mother.
So just please pass along how much it meant to have someone, you know, tell us that we are doing a good job and it was noticed. And certainly appreciate that very much. And thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Ms. Barnaby.
Can I just ask
Yes,
you?
ma'am.
Were you saying it doesn't happen every day that they do a good job, or that you hear somebody say
It's
good?
not every
Because
day that I-
every day they
It's
do
not
an
every day
excellent job,
I
but
get
not, you know,
a phone
recognized.
call or an email from one of our citizens saying, thank you so much.
Yeah, that's rare, but it's not rare that it happens, actually.
Thank you. Pirates Fest, obviously, Saturday night is Valentine's night and also. So it's going to be a fun time downtown, and maybe we'll get a few people that might not have seen Pirates Fest because they are down at all of our local restaurants, which we've got many now, and more are coming from what I hear. So that's going to be a great time to really start to celebrate what we're seeing is maybe a little bit better of a year for the Pirates with the way the management and the general manager, Ben Sherrington, has brought to us some information, and where they have spent a little bit more money to get some players, and obviously having the number one pitcher generationally in Paul Skeens, and they're already working when Paul pitches, and possibly if somebody comes along with them, how to manage that a little better now, because, you know, sometimes the younger people, who's Paul Skeen? Well, he's Livy Dunn's boyfriend, and they're like, oh, I know her. You know, so,
I will volunteer my services to
for
assist.
that. It's Valentine's Day coming up for Miss Maria.
Fully aware.
Fully aware. Miss Barnaby, I'm glad you brought up about our ladies basketball team, but everything leads back to football when you talk about that, because the last couple of years we have kicked their butt. So I'm sure those girls are fighting for their football team coming back at us, and our girls will fight back in a good way. It's a good thing.
Our football team has,
Kicked Charlotte's butt the last couple of years in the playoffs and at different times. So I'm sure the boys, you know, are talking to the young ladies and saying, hey, we want to beat Manatee no matter what, which makes us a better school, all of that, and the only public high school in the city of Bradenton. The regatta, we can't forget the regatta. You got a regatta. It's coming up a week from Friday night and Saturday. So those are going to be good. It's the 11th year. They're bringing in, we always had, I think, Formula 2 boats. Now they're bringing in Formula 1 boats. There's going to be races all day, where before there'd be a race, a break, a race, a break. Now, all of the leagues, from what I understand in that, have merged together. One company has bought them all. So this is their first test of a race. And obviously, they want to see how good it is. We're the first race of the year, because if you go anywhere up north, you can't do it right now. So basically, still ice. But so we're here, and they love this. So I think it's something that we can even build off this year. And maybe it's almost like starting over again. The first 10 years, now because of the reset with the boats, this is like year one of the new. So it's interesting to see how that plays out in the water with the national exposure we get from that, because we're one of a kind with how that happens, and I'm excited about that, to keep growing on that. For the council, workshops, expect in the next 4 to 5 weeks, probably to have 3 to 5 workshops. So we need to make sure and get Ms. Tamara all your dates that you won't be able to do it if anyone's going out of town, so we can try to work around that. I am gonna try possibly to do it after a council meeting. Like today would have been a perfect day for that, because we knew it was a shorter council meeting. But we're gonna bring some of those up, because we've got so many exciting things to happen. And I'm gonna ask, and I'm gonna look out in the camera, wherever it is at me, is if you could spend 0.003% of an amount of money and return $175 million on that. So basically, if you divide 500,000 by 175 million, it's 0.003 cost to return that amount of money. Every one of us in this room would sign up, especially if it was in our investment accounts for retirement. So that's what I'm going to say our face it and fix it is. And we could even be less than that with what we've got. So I just want to commend this council, and especially when it got driven by Vice Mayor Coker a few years ago, to push it, and the council bought into it, or at least 4-1 did at that time, but now I believe it would be 5-0, because there was the one that was against everything always. But that is, to me, how we are changing the dynamics of our city. When you have a business that used to have all of their employees in Sarasota, now they're bringing 50 of their employees to be on the financial building downtown and splitting up, because we were 5th on the list when it started a couple years ago to bring 50 employees every day downtown from a company, and now they're bringing them to be there because they want to be downtown Bradenton. We're seeing that, and that's not one person, that's all of us, not only selling our city as the liaisons, but the staff, and it's because we could have never taxed our way out of some of the issues. Are we finished? No. Have we started? Yes. Is there better things we can do? Always. But we have the right people in the seats, politically and staff-wise, to continue things moving. And I think that's a direction that we can continue to be proud of, but not sit back on our laurels. Because when's the next 175 million coming in? And it gets harder, but it's still worth the fight. And as my wife, when I go home and she'll say something happened, and she'll say, what's wrong or whatever, and then she'll say, well, you signed up for it. And then one of the things that I love when she says it is, and you love it. And I do love what we're doing to change generationally. And we do not sell ourselves well enough. As good as we do, the public still doesn't see a lot of that. I will promise you that I will never post on Facebook, and that's been something since day one I became, and people in the good way criticize me for that, but no good deed goes unpunished at times. So personally, my Facebook isn't public, and because I just will never do that. It's just not me, and I'm not apologizing for that. I'm saying that, but we don't sell ourselves with the city park, with the Dover coal that's going to come out. That's going to come out. And how do we get it out? When you had a newspaper that was a print paper and they had 120,000 going out every day, if you got the front page, 120,000 people might not have read it today or tomorrow, but they would have seen it at some time. Now it's, as Mrs. Barnaby says, the book of face, and it's not always the truth of face. And that's something, I wanted to bring up the face it and fix it with your comments are great, Councilman Schuessler, but individually we might, but collectively we are working to do a better job with our, and again, I'm not saying we're doing bad, we're doing great now, but how do we get it out more? How do we get that? Because we want people to hear it. And if I'm rambling right now, that's okay. Maybe somebody will listen. But when these people put on there that we're spilling raw sewage and they're high-profile people, shame on them. I'm not going to back down from shame on them because it fits a political narrative for them at the moment. Get the facts and face it and fix it. Maybe that's a new slogan. Get the facts that we're facing and fixing it. So, and this is not a slight anything to what we're doing. We are doing a lot more than we've ever done. But how do we prove to those neighbors that, hey, you may not like me, but it's okay. I'm going to face and fix it, and we're going to get it done despite what's happening. And then that's part of it I had in here, information is knowledge, and so we got to get more of that out. And then I'll let Mr. Lee come up. Since I'm done, he can come up first and give us a little synopsis. I don't know if that's what you were going to talk about, and I know we're going to get it out today, but I had some people say that the water tasted a little funny or gritty, and I'm on the same water line as them, and I don't taste it, and I drink our water and put our tea together. So if you can give us a little update on, and then again, there is some water shortages, or if you want to say it, that came out the other day, which we don't have a water shortage from the standpoint of we're not going to have water to drink and do it, but there's issues. So Colonel Lee?
Yes, sir. Irvin Lee, Director of Public Works and Utilities, Mayor, Council, Chiefs. As far as the water issue is concerned, this cold snap that we've had created a situation out in the reservoir which rarely occurs at this time of the year. Normally, in the summer, when the waters are warmer, we get the turnover, if you will, in the water in the reservoir itself. Well, we had cold snap, then a warming trend, followed by another cold snap, and that caused, believe it or not, we had algae starting to form in the reservoir, which led to our folks, Mr. Fullington, out at the water treatment plant, having to do some activities which they normally don't do during this time of the year to address the chemistry in the treatment process. Unfortunately, as that occurred, it also occurred when the temperatures were changing, which created challenges when the viscosity of the chemicals in solution started to change, which again led to us having to have some issues where we were putting in chemicals at different concentrations because we couldn't keep them in solution at the temperatures. So that created a situation where, yes, they're literally treating the lake, the reservoir as we would in the summertime to deal with algae, and that those chemicals then created that situation where folks were I think the comment was made. Someone said it tasted
A little gritty.
So,
taste, yeah.
so that's really the issue. And
But it's safe to drink.
It's safe to drink. We haven't, our water quality standards have not been violated in the least, but we're in this situation where we normally don't, this is highly unusual for this time of the year. So,
But we're testing it. If you're of a certain age and you can close your eyes and act like you're going back into the chemistry lab a long time ago, you see men in lab coats and the little beakers, and they're testing it all, and and so even though it's still the updated, technology. Thank you. I know that's weird, but the technology. But that's what they do out there. They test it, they get it, and then they fix it. They face it, what's happening, and fix it. So we can put that anywhere. But no, that. And again, if you have questions, I'm just saying for the public, if you have questions, don't wait a week and a half to bring it up. Call us and ask us, and we'll pass it on to you.
and we will get, we're working with our public information officer to get the word out to let folks know what's going on.
Thank
But it just unfortunate, highly unusual,
Right.
but unfortunate this time of year.
Okay, thank you. You had something else?
I do.
Sam?
And in my business, and as you all know as well, when you approach a task, having the right tool to do the job is really the foundation for success. And one of the things that's happened in Public Works, and you know, we've been working through this issue where some of the tools that we had to document the work that we do have been, I will say, below standard. And what I would like to do at this point is invite Karen Lanke, our IT department director, and Teresa Armstrong to come up, because what we would like to do, my right hand, Mr. Ed Ferentz, and I would like to recognize their excellence in delivering a project on time and within budget. It's our enterprise asset management software package, which allows us, again, to have the right tool to track the information and to be able to report and monitor the investment that we in Public Works are making in the city's infrastructure. And they have, this was a long process. Ms. Armstrong has reminded us constantly to just bear with them. And working with our consultant, we were able to work together. Folks we haven't changed what we do, but we've changed the way we document it, how we capture that information, and having that information more available. Information, knowledge is power, and it's in the long term, this will make our folks more effective and more efficient in being able to support the citizens and our city's infrastructure. So I would like to recognize, Teresa here first. This is on behalf of City of Bradenton Public Works. We wanted to give you a well-deserved thank you for bringing this project to completion. And I know that was not, you were not a lone ranger on this. You had quite the team, and I know sometimes Karen would get that little wrinkle in her forehead looking at me, and I was like, we'll get there. But to you and the rest of the folks over in IT, we really appreciate what you all have done to bring us into the 21st century. So thank you.
Tiffany, can we get a picture? I think it'd be good if the four of you stood up front and we'll get up here behind you. Got the refab boxes.
Okay, I'm trying to.
Actually, that's probably not good for you. Let me do it for you. Probably not good for your back. Seriously. Farther.
Yeah,
It's okay. It's okay.
Well, now I don't used to say height. I just want to stand up a straight.
Now Pam looks short.
I know. I feel bad about it.
Sure.
I feel so.
She's staying out of the picture, Rob.
Thanks, Tiffany.
That's so tall.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
I'll see you soon. Just went back into place.
Because you're going to do it.
Good.
So you don't have to carry it.
Mayor, I know that hours getting late. I just got probably about a minute's worth of comments on the enterprise asset management system. So a lot of folks don't really know what that is. But when you talk about, enterprise basically means the scope of the totality of it. The asset is a capital asset, whether it's a truck, whether it's a pipe, any type of system we own, a tool, a pump, whatever, and the management of it. there's two things you got to. There's a multitude of things you got to manage, but two key things are basically the operations and maintenance of it itself. When did you put oil in the truck? When did you change the pump out? What's the spec on all of that things? Or a pipe that's in the ground? Where is it and the like? And how much does it cost? The people in the finance. We're doing cost right now. Ross Peterson, we're doing contracts basically for our landscape. Well, how do we account for that in assessing the total cost of our landscape and grounds program? And that all fits into it. So you got this IT kind of component with the O&M, the operation and maintenance of the particular divisions. It is a very wide, broad spread type of digitalization effort that modernizes our management of the billions of dollars in assets the city has. And I used to say, well, it was a spreadsheet or something along the way. Sometimes there wasn't even that. And to the extent of, I applaud Public Works, and we're doing it across the board, but Public Works is the first one. Teresa Armstrong is a project manager for our information technology, and of course, IT director is Ms. Lanke. But this is a big undertaking, and it's a big advancement, and unless you're in one of the components that has to use this, you don't understand the value of it. Most people wouldn't, like the citizens on Book of Face and stuff. They have no idea about this stuff.
Created a new name.
Yeah, right, yeah. I like it. But I wanted to highlight a little bit, because you're going to hear more and more about it, and it involves a great deal of various disciplines to run good government, to run good business like government.
And that's exactly what I was going to say. I personally don't think that government should run like a business, because if you're in business, you should make a profit. And I don't think government should make a profit. But we need to run business-like. We need to make sure that we're doing the fiscally conservative things that make sense, that anybody in a business would already be doing. So I'm very excited about this, and thank you all both so much.
Mr. Schuessler.
I just wanted to mention, as a public service announcement, as an individual, how do you access My Bradenton 311? The city's launched a new system for submitting non-emergency service updates. This is an email that I got when, as an individual, I went to report an issue. If you need to report an issue that requires city attention, please use the Report a Problem link on the homepage, now powered by My Bradenton 311. The system is not for emergencies. For urgent situations, call 911. My Bradenton 311, Bradenton, Florida. So you can access that.
Yes.
Very good.
Actually, may I clarify? So it's not an app?
It will be an app. There
It
will
will
be an app. It's just
Okay.
not, the app's not, we didn't want to wait to get them all at the same time.
Okay.
So this was ready, so we got this out.
Okay,
And I
gotcha.
know it works, just ask my wife.
Yeah.
Herb probably
Places like
knows.
public stuff
Yeah,
and things
so,
like that.
yeah, but, just helping out, reporting potholes, different things that we can address. And like I said, when I found out, this morning that the water downtown tasted a little gritty or that, it's been happening for a week and a half. And I said, well, if you broke your arm, would you wait a week and a half to go to the doctor? So if something's unique, reach out to us, and we will try to address it, because maybe it's something we don't even know about yet. So, and there was a good friend, so they were laughing, the whole group was laughing, but let us know, because we are very open government, and we are very contactable, is that a word? We are very able to be contacted in a good way. And then again, you got to have fun in life, but you still got to do things to face and fix. And again, it goes right back to what we're doing in the IT with Public Works. We're facing and fixing some issues that can make us better and more productive. And I think one of the things that really made me think about it is when I was there and we dug up a situation that we didn't know what we were digging up because there was a break, and there was literally a sign wrapped around the top of the pipe. But again, I'm not criticizing the past, because that's all they had to deal with at the time to get it working at the moment. And we don't know if it was 5 days before or 50 years before, but now we will with a lot of this technology, because if you have an area that keeps breaking, you want to figure out why. But if you don't have any knowledge from the past, you're never going to get it. So, Chief Kramer, you have anything?
Thank you. Just tomorrow, 10 a.m. right here. We're going to spin that around. We're going to have a swearing-in ceremony for 10 new officers. 7 came through our academy process, and 3 are equivalency of training EOTs. They came from out of state. A little bit more on each of them tomorrow.
Great.
Just make sure you get Mr. Ackles involved.
Oh, they're coming in tomorrow morning to flip it around.
All right. Chief?
You can tell from the pages I keep sending out, we've had a number of fires lately. Most due to either unattended cooking or discarded cigarette ashes improperly. So a lot of human error folks could improve on. Yesterday, the governor put out a executive order covering all counties about the current status of the state and the dry conditions, and giving us the opportunity, if needed, that we can seek additional resources and additional funding if needed, just like we do during hurricanes or whatever else might be. But yeah, super busy brush fire season, and even here in the county, which depletes assets, from everyone. So we've been busy to say the least, and hats off to code enforcement for helping us out. We found numerous cases where the homeless are tying into meters and in homes that they shouldn't be, and so we've been able to take care of those situations as well recently.
And I'll comment to talk about the homeless with this cold weather. Our shelter, Salvation Army, through Turning Points, and a lot of other organizations have really had some great opportunity for people to get out of the cold when they needed it. And I know our police department and the fire department have done a great job at collaborating with that in the city. But we know that the county, the city, and all of our not-for-profits did a great job of giving people opportunity. And unfortunately, we had one person that didn't take that opportunity and passed, but it was on a private property, but he had opportunity to go somewhere, and he chose that. But, God bless him and his family. So, anything else, Mr. Perry? Mr. Rudisell? Anything else from Corey? All right. We'll be adjourned. Thank you.